Chapter 401. So it is, Lu Qing nodded, recalling the information he had gleaned with his superpower. His eyes showed a hint of solemnity. I hadn't expected such a gain, an opportunity that people from the 4 great secret places value so highly. What exactly is it? Is it the same as the one I've sensed dimly in my fate? Ever since arriving in the holy city, Lu Qing was certain. The strange attraction that he and his master felt, that inexplicable force, originated from the holy mountain. However, even now, standing before the holy mountain, he still couldn't be certain of what exactly was drawing him and his master. Is the opportunity hidden too deeply, or has the right moment still not arrived? Lu Qing contemplated to himself. Nevertheless, the appearance of the people from the Cloudwater secret realm made him slightly wary. If their target was the same obscure opportunity, then fighting over it would likely not be easy. Moreover, with the people from the Cloudwater secret realm already here, the others from the remaining 3 secret places would undoubtedly not be far behind. It seems that if my master and I want to vie for the opportunity, we will need to plan carefully. With that in mind, Lu Qing said, Mr. Ji Rui, now that the excitement is over, should we return? We came in haste and have yet to find an inn to stay in. You haven't found a place to stay? Perfect. The place where I am staying has an empty courtyard nearby. If you don't mind, you could stay there for the time being. How could I impose? Well, that will be troubling, Mr. Ji Rui. Lu Qing intended to decline, but then he thought that inns were mixed places. Now, not only did he have little Yen with him, but also Hu Ziji, who was a potential source of trouble. Staying at an inn was bound to be problematic, so he nodded in agreement. I'll have someone arrange everything right after I get back. Seeing Lu Qing agree, Lin Jirue immediately brightened up. He added, Honestly, martial artists from all over the world have flocked to the holy city, and the inns are already filled to capacity. It would not be easy for you to find lodging. Staying with us at the Tianji building is not only safe, but also quiet, and you are less likely to be disturbed. Since Mr. Ji Rui has put it that way, we shall graciously accept, Lu Qing said with a smile. Thereupon, the group began to make their way towards the city center, having seen enough excitement for the time being. As for what would happen to Bai Bufan and others afterward, they were no longer interested in finding out. As they entered the city, Lu Qing suddenly felt an alarm in his heart and swiftly glanced toward a corner. However, when he looked there, he saw only a flicker of black clothing disappearing around a corner with no figure in sight. Yet, that one glance eased Lu Qing's heart considerably. A slight smile appeared on his lips. So, someone is indeed watching us. Is it because of Miss Hu's tribulation chi? Or are they targeting us? But as long as you don't show yourself, all is well. Now that you've given yourself away, everything will be much easier. Since it was only a guess, Lu Qing didn't say anything directly and continued towards the Tianji building. Meanwhile, in a corner of another street, a figure in a black robe was in a state of shock. What's going on? How did that boy detect me? Was it chance? Or did he actually notice something? The black-robed figure was relieved about the earlier situation. Had his reaction not been quick enough, his traces might have been exposed by now. But even with relief, he was profoundly puzzled. He considered his own technique for concealing his aura nearly unparalleled. Even an expert at the great success of innate realm being watched by him might not necessarily detect his gaze. Yet, that boy was astoundingly sensitive. He had barely started tailing them and was nearly discovered. But in his perception, that boy was clearly only a postnatal realm martial artist. Could it be that the boy has an exotic treasure capable of alerting him to someone else's tracking? The figure in the black robe suddenly considered a possibility. He knew that thousands of years ago, the practice of cultivation had flourished, giving rise to an immortal Tao civilization. It had gradually declined and disappeared as the spiritual energy faded. However, while the cultivators had vanished, some of their magical treasures and magic artifacts had survived. Now, as the world changed and the spiritual energy began to recover, those ancient treasures, nourished by the revitalized aura, were likely to regain their power. Could it be that the lad has just the right kind of magic artifact for tracking? The figure in the black robe pondered, and the more he thought, the more plausible it seemed. Otherwise, he couldn't comprehend how his technique for concealing the heart demon could be detected by a postnatal realm youngster. If it really is a magic artifact, then that's just great. I didn't expect such a windfall. And those disciples from the Cloudwater secret realm, decades ago, I dug 3 feet into the ground and still couldn't find the entrance to the 4 great secret places. I never thought you would come out on your own. As long as I devour you, my demon body can be completely cultivated. Then, this world will truly become something I hold in the palm of my hand. The figure in the black robe spoke with excitement, his eyes flashing with bursts of sinister dark light, which was quite terrifying. However, the first step is to start by swallowing up the girl with great destiny and the elder radiating the light of merit. After absorbing their destiny and merit, the foundation of my supreme demon body will truly be erected. By then, with both righteous and demonic forces unified within me and transformations at my will, not even the heavenly Taos can do anything to me. Accompanied by murmurs, the figure in the black robe disappeared into a corner, leaving behind only a wisp of black chi drifting in the air. After Lu Qing and the others returned to Tianji Building, Lin Jirue immediately had the small courtyard next to him cleaned up. Once the courtyard was ready, Lu Qing and his companions moved in. It was only after that Lin Jirue excused himself, as he still had many things to take care of, such as applying for the elder doctor to have time to comprehend the holy pool. Master, on the way back just now, I noticed some strange occurrences that may be related to Miss Hu's tribulation, Lu Qing said seriously after Lin Jirue had left. What is it? The elder doctor's expression became stern. The others also turned their attention towards Lu Qing, especially Hu Zheji, whose expression was even more nervous. When we entered the city just now, I noticed at a certain intersection that there was someone hiding and tracking us. Unfortunately, that person was very alert. As soon as he realized that I had noticed him, he immediately left, and I didn't get a clear look at him. As he said this, Lu Qing also felt a bit regretful. If only the man hadn't reacted so quickly, and he had been able to observe him for a bit longer, using his superpower to extract information, then everything would have come to light. Since you couldn't see his face clearly, Ah Qing, how can you be certain that he is related to Miss Hu's tribulation? Asked the elder doctor. I can't be completely certain, but the trace of aura he exuded then had some similarity to the tribulation chi on Miss Hu's face, which is why I made that guess. I see, nodded the elder doctor. That's very likely indeed. That must be where Miss Hu's tribulation lies. But who is that man, and why is he targeting me when I have neither grievances nor enmity with him? Hu Zheji asked, puzzled. She had lived in Azure Dragon City since she was a child, and to her knowledge had never antagonized anyone, which left her at a loss as to why someone would want to harm her. Also, this was someone that even Mr. Lu had almost been deceived by. Why? The elder doctor and Lu Qing exchanged glances, with an answer already in their minds. The most special thing about Hu Zheji was her thick aura of destiny. The fact that such a person was targeted made the man's plotting very clear. He was after Hu Zheji because of her identity connected to that destiny. Regardless, this is at least a breakthrough. Lu Qing didn't reveal this point, but rather comforted Hu Zheji. Since we know that the one who wishes you harm is a person, then everything becomes much easier to handle. Miss Hu, since the man dares not act rashly, he must have things that he's concerned about. For the time being, as long as you don't stray too far from us, there shouldn't be any danger. Okay, I understand. Indeed, knowing that her destined foe was a person, Hu Zheji felt quite relieved. As her mood lightened, she suddenly remembered something. Right, Mr. Lu, Elder Chun. There's something I've been wanting to tell you since earlier. When we were near the Holy Mountain, I had a faint sensation that there seemed to be something on the mountain calling out to me.
Chapter 402 Magu Breakthrough.
Can you feel something in the Holy Mountain calling to you? Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. The elder doctor also looked over. Yes, and that call is rather peculiar. I can sense it's in the Holy Mountain, but I can't pinpoint the exact location. Hu Ziji hesitated. Lu Qing and the elder doctor exchanged glances. Indeed, she was a person of great destiny. Although her cultivation was only at the Qi blood realm, she could sense the opportunity within the holy mountain just like them. I didn't expect Miss Hu to sense the peculiarities within the holy mountain as well, Lu Qing smiled. But don't worry, that thing probably isn't ready to appear yet. Mr. Lu, can you also feel it? What exactly is it? Hu Ziji asked. I don't know either. Lu Qing shook his head. Perhaps only when the time comes will we know what it truly is. However, Miss Hu, this should be a good sign. You just need to patiently wait. Hearing Lu Qing say this, Hu Ziji finally felt at ease. Otherwise, given her current state, having these mysterious sensations beyond her understanding could be quite unsettling. Thus, Lu Qing and the others temporarily stayed in the courtyard next to Lin Jirue, living a secluded life and hardly ever showing their faces outside. 2 days later, that morning, Lin Jirue came over for tea and brought several pieces of news. One of them was exactly as Lu Qing had guessed. After people from the Cloudwater secret realm showed up, the next day people from the other 3 great secret places appeared as well. However, they didn't stay in the Holy City but went directly to the Holy Mountain. So, not many in the Holy City knew about this. Another piece of news was about the Elder Doctor's intention to contemplate in the Holy Pool. Coincidentally, there were no new innate realm individuals who needed the Holy Pool recently. So, as soon as Lin Jirue applied to the Holy Mountain, he received a response, and the Elder Doctor could go to contemplate at the Holy Pool at any time. In that case, Master, when would you like to go and contemplate at the Holy Pool? Lu Qing asked. The Elder Doctor pondered for a moment and said, Let's go today. With more and more martial artists gathering in the Holy City, who knows what might happen next? It's better to complete our contemplation of the Holy Pool sooner. It's one of the purposes of our trip. Upon hearing this, Lin Jirue immediately said, In that case, I'll go arrange it for Elder Chun right now. That afternoon, the Elder Doctor followed Lin Jirue to the Holy City. As for Lu Qing, with nothing else to do, he saw Ma Gu and Wei Zian practicing in the courtyard. On a whim, he decided to give some pointers on their cultivation. Brother Lu Qing, would you like to check our progress in cultivation? Hearing that Lu Qing was going to give them pointers, Ma Gu and Wei Zian were immediately energized. Good. I see, Mr. Ma. You are full of energy. Your saber technique integrates smoothly and seems to have improved a lot. Zian as well, your stick technique is approaching perfection. We've been busy traveling before. Now let me see how far you've both advanced in your cultivation. Then let's perform it again for you. Ma Gu and Wei Zian knew well that Lu Qing's cultivation level was unfathomable. Even ordinary innate realm experts were no match for him. Now hearing him say he would give them pointers, they immediately started demonstrating. Mr. Ma, your cultivation has progressed nicely. You're at the perfection of the bone realm, just a hair's breadth away from the inner organ realm. Lu Qing was somewhat surprised after seeing Ma Gu perform the mountain and sea blade technique once. Compared to before, not only had Ma Gu's realm in the saber technique advanced further, but his cultivation had also greatly improved, having completely refined his muscles and bones to perfection, leaving him just one step away from breaking through to the internal organ realm. You must know, when they had first set out from Jili village, Ma Gu's cultivation had only just reached great success in the muscle-bone realm. I don't know why, but recently, while driving the carriage, I broke through without even realizing it. Ma Gu scratched his head. Lu Qing nodded, understanding what had happened. Since he had inscribed an array on the carriage, its speed had greatly increased. After the 2 horses pulling the carriage had transformed into dragon blood steeds, that speed had leaped qualitatively. Controlling such a staggeringly fast carriage was no easy feat. Ma Gu had to be fully concentrated on controlling the carriage, without making any mistakes. Otherwise, a slight negligence could lead the carriage to deviate from its course and flip into a ditch. And during this period, they had been continuously traveling all day long. Such prolonged periods of driving the carriage with all his might had undeniably been a massive trial for Ma Gu's heart and spirit. It could be said that once he had fully absorbed the experience gained during this time, breaking through to the internal organ realm was a sure thing. And if he were to consolidate further afterwards, becoming a martial arts grandmaster was not impossible. After Lu Qing explained all this to Ma Gu, the middle-aged man showed an incredulous expression. Brother Lu Qing, are you saying I could possibly become a martial arts grandmaster in the future? That depends on you, Mr. Ma, but your heart and spirit have been greatly tempered now, certainly no less than many at the perfection of internal organ realm. If you diligently cultivate and persevere, it's not impossible. Ma Gu was immediately stunned on the spot. His mind went blank, completely overwhelmed by the sudden news. Seeing this, Lu Qing did not disturb him but let him silently process the information. After a long while, Ma Gu regained his senses and looked at Lu Qing, asking, Brother Lu Qing, what should I do next? It's simple. First break through to the internal organ realm, Lu Qing said with a smile. You have accumulated enough by now. You just need that final push. With that, he extended a finger and touched Ma Gu's body. Don't resist. Concentrate and try to feel the changes in the force I'm applying to your body. Upon hearing this, Ma Gu immediately closed his eyes and focused his mind completely. Lu Qing saw this and nodded slightly. This was the result of Ma Gu's recent experience driving the carriage. He could now easily concentrate his mind. Without further ado, Lu Qing began lightly tapping continuously on Ma Gu's body. With each tap, a strange force would dissipate Ma Gu's qi blood points, guiding it to penetrate towards his internal organs. Ma Gu focused intently on feeling the changes in the qi blood within his body, as it vibrated and penetrated his internal organs, agitated by the strange force Lu Qing had released. Gradually, an understanding rose in his heart. The next moment, the qi blood throughout his body began to move according to his thoughts, similarly vibrating gently, just like the strange force applied by Lu Qing. You're catching on quite quickly. Seeing this, Lu Qing withdrew his finger and ceased any further actions. But Ma Gu, who had already grasped the knack, continued to experience fluctuations in his qi blood, which vibrated at a peculiar frequency and slowly penetrated towards his internal organs. After a while, suddenly, Ma Gu's body jolted, and a powerful aura emanated from him. At the same time, his eyes opened, filled with surprise. Chapter 403. The Elder Doctor's Crisis, Lu Qing's Fury. Master, have you made a breakthrough? Wei Zian felt the powerful aura emanating from his master and asked with delighted surprise. I must thank Brother Lu Qing. If it wasn't for his forceful guidance, I couldn't have made this breakthrough so quickly. Ma Gu was equally thrilled. He had never imagined he could have advanced to the internal organ realm so rapidly. Lu Qing smiled and said, Your accumulation was already there. I merely helped you by taking advantage of the situation, breaking through that barrier a bit earlier. Dr. Lu Qing, what about me? What about me? Seeing his master achieve a breakthrough with just a point from Lu Qing, Wei Zian asked eagerly. Your stick technique has also made significant progress recently. After some more guidance from Lu Qing, Wei Zian felt significant gains even though he hadn't directly made a breakthrough. Hu Ziji, who had been watching the excitement from the sidelines, saw that under Lu Qing's guidance, both master and apprentice had made considerable improvements in their cultivation. She couldn't help but admire Lu Qing even more. Unfortunately, her leg injury had not yet fully healed, and although she could now walk without much trouble, she could not engage in combat. Otherwise, she would have also liked to ask Lu Qing for guidance. In the subsequent time, Ma Gu and Wei Zian, who had both gained a lot, continued to ponder and practice their cultivation in the yard. After another hour had passed and the sun began to set in the west, his master and Lin Jirue had still not returned. Lu Qing looked in the direction of the holy mountain. It's strange. According to Mr. Jirue, the time spent in comprehending the holy pool should not be that long. Why have they not returned yet? Perhaps Elder Chun has had some insights, and that's why he's a bit late, Ma Gudao suggested. Perhaps. Lu Qing nodded his head, but somehow he always felt a sense of unease in his heart. After noticing this uneasiness, His heart suddenly tensed, and he became alert. At his level of cultivation, his divine soul power was much stronger than that of many who had reached the great success of the innate realm. Moreover, with the enhancement from the divine soul talisman and the earth spirit pearl, he naturally also had a different sensitivity to certain things in the universe. If something could make him feel uneasy, there must be a cause for it. Could it be that something has happened to my master? Lu Qing suddenly stood up, his gaze sharp and piercing toward the direction of the holy mountain. Brother Lu Qing, what's wrong? Ma Gu asked, puzzled. I suspect something has happened to my master. Lu Qing's expression became grave, his sense of unease growing stronger. Elder Dr. Chan is in trouble? Ma Gu was first shocked, then anxiously said, What should we do? Hu Ziji and Wei Zian were also visibly worried. They didn't doubt Lu Qing's words, for they had witnessed too many of his miraculous methods along the way. Since he said that Elder Doctor might be in trouble, he must have sensed something. I need to make a trip to the holy mountain. You all stay here and wait calmly, and remember not to leave the yard. This place is under the jurisdiction of Tianji Building, so ordinary people should not dare to barge in easily. Isn't that right, Senior? The last sentence was directed by Lu Qing towards someone outside of the yard. Ma Gu and the others were startled at first. Then they all turned to look outside in unison. You are indeed impressive, young friend. An old man with white hair and beard, exuding an immortal and sage-like aura, walked into the yard from outside. In his gaze toward Lu Qing was a look of surprise. He never expected that his tracks would be detected by this young man who was not even at the innate realm. Greetings to the senior. You must be Mr. Ji Rui's master, the tower master of Tianji Tower, right? Lu Qing gave the sage-like old man a bow and got straight to the point. There is no need for formalities. Did you just say you wanted to ascend to the sacred mountain? The sage-like old man did not deny. Yes, my teacher went to the sacred mountain to seek opportunity and has not returned for a long time. I am concerned and wish to fetch him. May I ask if Senior knows the reason for my teacher's delay? Lu Qing stared intently at the sage-like old man, his gaze sharp. The Tianji Tower Master had not appeared for the past 2 days, and his sudden presence here must have a reason. Under Lu Qing's probing gaze, even the sage-like old man with his cultivation felt a chill. His heart pounded tremendously. This was a sensation that only appeared when he felt danger. The youth before him, he reasoned, was far more terrifying than he had imagined. Regardless, the sage-like old man was the head of an entire sect, with exceptionally profound cultivation and temperament. Though his mind was shaken, his face did not reveal the slightest hint of it. Young friend, your guess is not wrong. I just received a message from Ji Rui. Your teacher has indeed encountered a bit of trouble on the holy mountain. What trouble? Lu Qing asked, his gaze intensifying, and his eyes faintly revealed a hint of coldness. The rising chill on the old man's back grew stronger. He was greatly agitated, wondering how terrifying this youth was, for he could feel a threat even at his perfect innate realm. Ji Rui mentioned in the message that your teacher had finished comprehending at the holy pool and was about to descend the mountain. But he encountered monks from Suspended Mountain on his way down. They saw the merit light with which your teacher was endowed and stopped him. Suspended Mountain, one of the 4 great secret places? Lu Qing was taken aback. Yes. What do the people of Suspended Mountain want with my master? Your master carries the merit light, a protective treasure light that is rarely seen even in Suspended Mountain. The monks detained your teacher out of curiosity, intending to discuss the way with him. You need not worry. The monks of Suspended Mountain are known for their compassion and will surely not trouble your teacher. Chapter 404. Since compassion is your concern, why then do you stop my master from descending the mountain? Lu Qing spoke coldly. Could it be because you're taking advantage of my master's good nature, knowing he cannot refuse? The elderly Taoist faltered, unsure of how to explain. To be honest, he too found it strange that the people of Suspended Mountain would prevent the elder doctor from leaving. Despite the rarity of merit light, It was not unheard of for high monks on Suspended Mountain to cultivate it, so it seemed hardly worth going to such great lengths. At that moment, the elderly Taoist's clothing trembled slightly as he retrieved a jade token from his chest and examined it with his heart and spirit. His body shook, and his expression gradually turned solemn. "Senior, has Mr. Ji Rui sent another message?" Lu Qing recognized the jade token in the elder's hands as similar to the one Lin Jirue had given his master initially. "It is indeed Ji Rui." The elderly Taoist slowly nodded, his expression showing no sign of relief. "What did Mr. Jirue say?" Seeing the elder's expression, Lu Qing had a bad premonition. "Ji Rui said that the monks from Suspended Mountain want your master to join them. He is unwilling, and they are now using an array to trap him and are trying to forcibly convert him." "What?" Upon hearing this, Lu Qing could no longer contain his anger, a chilling light flashing in his eyes. The aura emanating from his body caused the elderly Taoist's heart to constrict. From Lu Qing, he sensed a very dangerous qi, a terrifying signal that posed a threat to his life. "Brother Lu Qing, what are we waiting for? Let's go and save old Dr. Chun immediately." Ma Gu, equally furious, stood nearby. Although he did not understand what conversion meant, he clearly heard that those so-called high monks were trapping the elder doctor with an array. "Yes, Dr. Lu Qing, let's ascend to the sacred mountain now." Wei Zian also clenched the iron bar in his hand. However, their words made Lu Qing's mind clear. "No, I should go alone. You both wait here for news." "But there's no need for buts." Lu Qing waved his hand to stop Ma Gu. "The oppressive force on the mountain is more than you two can withstand. Going rashly would be too much for your bodies to bear." Ma Gu and Wei Zian stopped in their tracks. They recalled the scene wherein Bai Bufan and others climbed the heavenly ascension ladder. Even martial arts grandmaster Bai Bufan couldn't ascend too high on Sacred Mountain. These two wouldn't even reach halfway up the mountain. With this realization, both were filled with frustration, hating their own weakness for being unable to help in such a critical situation. "Don't worry, I'll bring the master back safely." Lu Qing, seeing the frustration on their faces, spoke out to comfort them. "Young friend, are you sure you want to go to the sacred mountain?" the elderly Taoist asked. "With my master in trouble as a disciple, how can I just stand by?" Lu Qing replied calmly. "However, senior, I also have a favor to ask. Please speak your mind. This Miss Hu, you can see the tribulation chi on her brow. I don't know when the tribulation will occur. While I'm away, I'd ask you to help look after her to prevent others from taking advantage." Lu Qing looked at the words floating around the old man, sensing that this elder was temporarily trustworthy. Still, he communicated secretly with little Li, who was in the house letting little Yen nap, using his divine soul. The elderly Taoist looked at Hu Zhi's brow and finally nodded. "Rest assured, young friend, I will stay in this yard and won't leave until you come back. Then, senior, I thank you in advance." Lu Qing solemnly bowed to the elder. Then, in a flash, he was on his way out of the yard. "Mr. Ma, please take care of little Yen, and when she wakes up, don't let her wander around." As his last words settled, Lu Qing had already disappeared. His incredible speed startled the elderly Taoist. "This young Master Lu, what kind of person is he, really?" The elder's heart was filled with unease and uncertainty. Never had he encountered a youth whom he could not see through as he did now. He had a premonition that Lu Qing's ascent to the sacred mountain this time would definitely cause a great uproar. After leaving the Tianji building, Lu Qing immediately used his movement technique and rushed toward the holy mountain. To increase his speed, he even activated the magic talisman within his brow chakra. A faint yellow glow flashed momentarily on his skin, and Lu Qing's speed instantly increased sharply. In a blink of an eye, he was like a wisp of green smoke, approaching the holy mountain incredibly fast. His speed was so fast that the martial artists along the way could only sense a fleeting figure. By the time they were startled and tried to discern this figure's appearance, Lu Qing had already disappeared. Soon, Lu Qing had reached the northern district of the city, right before the heavenly ladder. At that moment, there were still many people gathered at the foot of the heavenly ladder, periodically bursting into cheers. Even more people were present than on the day when Bai Bufan and others were competing. It turned out that there were martial artists having a competition on the heavenly ladder. Good. Fairy Li indeed deserves to be the true disciple of the Guyuan sect. Not only is she unparalleled in beauty, ranking high on the beauty list, but her martial arts cultivation is also profound. Now she has climbed to the 160th step, no less impressive than Bai Bufan and the others 2 days ago. Saintess Zhao is also formidable, only 1 step behind Fairy Li, and she might even catch up later. It's just that the young princess of the Long family is somewhat behind, lagging by 3 or 4 steps. Who would have thought we would be fortunate enough to watch 3 beauties from the beauty list competing together right before our eyes? Truly a life well lived. It's a pity that the fairies are wearing veils, so we cannot glimpse their peerless faces. Even if we can't see their faces, merely admiring their graceful figures is enough for me to die content. As Lu Qing approached the area near the heavenly ladder, the various comments reached his ears. Only then did he realize that the competitors on the heavenly ladder were several gracefully poised female warriors. From the surrounding discussions, they seemed to be the outstanding beauties listed on the beauty list. Normally, Lu Qing might have felt inclined to stop and enjoy the spectacle. However, with his master's safety weighing on his mind, he was in no mood for that. He maneuvered nimbly, dodging the crowd, and arrived before the heavenly ladder. With a high leap, he reached tens of steps up in an instant. With a tap of his foot, his body shot upward at an extreme speed, climbing tens more steps in a blink. Thus, with continuous light taps, Lu Qing ascended like a wisp of smoke, crossing several tens of steps each time. Within a few moments, he had reached the side of the beautifully poised female warriors. Yet he did not pause at all, only lightly tapping his foot to overtake them and shooting toward the top. And with incredible speed, he ascended the higher sections of the heavenly ladder and finally disappeared into the mist, vanishing from everyone's sight. This sudden turn of events caught everyone off guard. It was only after Lu Qing's figure disappeared into the mist that the crowd finally reacted. Then, all at once, the crowd exploded into commotion. No way, what did I just see? Did someone really rush up the heavenly ladder? You're not seeing things. Someone definitely rushed up, but that speed was too fast. Could the strange power of the heavenly ladder have disappeared? Disappear my foot. Didn't you see Fairy Li and the others still gasping for air up there? Who exactly could it be? Treating the heavenly ladder as if walking on flat ground. More like about to fly. That speed. Much faster than the brocade-clothed youth who climbed the 200th step 2 days ago. Not only 10 times faster, but even the height he reached was much higher. Didn't you see he has already disappeared into the mist? That must be above the 300th step, right? Who exactly is this divine being? Even a heavenly realm expert would not ascend 300 steps so effortlessly. For a moment, beneath the heavenly ladder, the voices of the people were uproarious, everyone completely stunned by the scene of Lu Qing charging up the heavenly ladder. Chapter 405. Violent break formation, directly crushed to death. Not only were the people at the foot of the mountain utterly shocked, but the several beautiful women who were originally competing on the heavenly ladder above felt it was unbelievable. Fairy Li, did you see what that person just now looked like? It seemed to be a young man. A young man, ascending the heavenly ladder so effortlessly. How is that possible? Could it be some old monster who likes to appear younger? Even if it's an old monster, they shouldn't treat the heavenly ladder as if it's nothing. Could it be another peerless genius from some secret land? While everyone was speculating about Lu Qing's identity, Lu Qing had already left the heavenly ladder and come to another side of Holy Mountain. Lin Jirue had once told him about the approximate location of the Holy Pool. According to what the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master had said, the Master had just left the Holy Pool when he encountered the people from Suspended Mountain, so it should not be far from the location of the Holy Pool. The bald monks of Suspended Mountain. If anything happens to my master, I will make the entire suspended mountain's secret realm pay. Lu Qing's eyes were full of coldness, and his body shone with a faint yellow light as he moved quickly across Holy Mountain. The oppressive force on the mountain seemed non-existent to him. I guessed correctly, the so-called pressure on this holy mountain is actually the earth vein primordial magnetism. For others, the pressure on the mountain is a burden. But for me, who possesses the earth spirit pearl, it is an assistance. When Lin Jirue introduced Holy Mountain initially, Lu Qing had his suspicions about this suppressive force. Now that he was actually climbing the mountain, it confirmed his guess even more. This made him even more confident about rescuing his master. Just as Lu Qing was contemplating, suddenly, a fluctuation from ahead caught his attention. More importantly, he sensed his master's presence. At the same time, an anxious voice also reached his ears. "Eminent masters, please show mercy. This Elder Chun is a distinguished guest of Tianji Building. There's no need to be rough." It's Mr. Jirue's voice. Lu Qing's gaze sharpened, knowing he had finally arrived. Instantly, a flash of light appeared on his body, and his speed increased by another third, swiftly passing through a swath of forest to arrive in front of a spacious clearing. The clearing was paved with stone. Above the clearing, 7 bald monks in red kasayas were forming a strange formation, surrounding a figure seated cross-legged on the ground. There were also many onlookers around them. Aside from other bald monks, there were other figures with powerful auras, including the disciples from Cloudwater's secret realm that Lu Qing had seen 2 days prior. In the middle of the formation surrounded by the 7 bald monks, there was a golden bowl emitting yellow light, floating in mid-air. Underneath the golden bowl, a figure in plain clothes enveloped by it sat cross-legged with a red face, trembling all over. It could be no one other than the elder doctor. "Master!" This scene filled Lu Qing with raging anger. It was clear to him that his master was nearing his limit. Overwhelmed with fury, Lu Qing didn't even think to use his superpower to gather information. He directly took out a bow and arrows from the Chenkuan Chi bag, pulling the bowstring to its fullest. The next moment, a fierce howling sound rang out, as 7 sharp arrows pierced through the air, heading towards the heads of the 7 bald monks in 7 different directions. With the technique of 7 stars in a row, after shooting the arrows, Lu Qing did not hesitate for a moment and immediately stowed away his bow and arrows. Following closely, a long saber appeared in his hand as he surged forward with great speed. Ding, ding, ding. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The arrows shot by Lu Qing with the treasure bow were tremendously fast. In almost an instant, they had already reached above the heads of the several monks. Just as it seemed the monks' heads were about to be penetrated by the sharp arrows, a golden light shield quietly brightened, blocking the path of the arrows. The 7 arrows shot by Lu Qing, as if striking against gold and iron, were stopped by the golden light. Although ripples vibrated through the golden light, similarly, the 7 arrows were firmly blocked, prevented from advancing even an inch. "Who goes there?" This sudden change came as a surprise to everyone present. The other monks who were on guard were startled, never expecting someone to dare launch a sneak attack on the elders. It was then that the crowd noticed Lu Qing's figure. There was no helping it. The aura that Lu Qing erupted with was simply too astonishing. Even a blind person would be able to feel the terrifying aura emanating from him. Young Master Lu Xiao? Lin Jirue, having recognized the figure, was shocked. "Halt!" On the other side, upon spotting Lu Qing's figure, several young monks leaped out to intercept him immediately. "Those in my way will die." Seeing someone daring to block him, and monks at that, Lu Qing was filled with rage. His saber in hand directly cleaved through the air towards them. This strike, fueled by Lu Qing's anger, exuded a violent killing intent as soon as it was unleashed, spreading in all directions. Everyone who felt this killing intent, even innate realm experts, couldn't help but momentarily stiffen, let alone the young monks who were still in the postnatal realm. Overwhelmed by Lu Qing's killing intent, their minds went completely blank. Lu Qing's gaze was icy as he swept his saber without pause, aiming to cut down all the young monks in front of him. Amitabha, please show mercy. Just as Lu Qing's long sword was about to split those young monks in two, suddenly, a grand Buddhist chant rang out, and the body-protecting golden light that had been surrounding the 7 elder monks swelled fiercely, protecting the young monks within. Clang! Lu Qing's long sword struck the golden light without reservation. His strike was much more powerful than the 7 arrows he had fired before. Although the body-protecting golden light was solid, it still couldn't withstand Lu Qing's strength. It shook violently and seemed on the verge of collapsing. The elder monk responsible for leading the array saw signs of the golden light collapsing. His eyes slightly widened as a strong power of the heart surged out, pouring into the golden bowl. The golden light, which was about to be breached by Lu Qing, suddenly showed signs of restabilizing. You think to stabilize the array again without asking me? Lu Qing planted his long sword into the grass beside him, reached into his bosom, and when his hand re-emerged, he wore a pair of fine steel boxing gloves. Roar! In the next instant, a tremendous roar erupted from Lu Qing, like a ferocious ancient tiger awakening within him. With a heart-stirring howl, Lu Qing twisted his waist and threw a punch, his powerful strength fiercely imprinting onto the golden light. With that punch, the air around Lu Qing exploded, generating layers of white mist. And finally, the array's golden light could no longer hold up under the intense trembling and was shattered by Lu Qing's punch. Not good. The 7 elder monks, who were sustaining the array, were shocked that Lu Qing could actually shatter the demon formation's golden light with his bare hands, and they exclaimed in alarm. They tried to surge their heart and spirit to reactivate the golden bowl, but it was already too late. Once the array's golden light was broken, the elder doctor, who had been sitting in the center looking pained, suddenly brightened up and his facial expression calmed down. Not good, retreat quickly. As the elder doctor opened his eyes, a bad premonition suddenly arose in the hearts of the several elder monks, who then disregarded the golden bowl and retreated at high speed. The next moment, countless strands of sword chi began to emerge around the elder doctor, forming a storm of sword chi that spread out in all directions, instantly engulfing the places where the 7 elder monks had been sitting. The sword chi raged for over 10 breaths before finally beginning to subside. When the sword chi dissipated and revealed the elder doctor's figure, everyone gasped in shock. They saw that within several yards around the elder doctor, all area aside from the spot where he sat was sliced and scarred by the sword chi. The entire ground was covered with countless sword marks and a thick layer of stone powder. It was clear that if those elder monks had not retreated, they would likely have been completely disintegrated by the sword chi, leaving no trace of their bodies. A sword energy domain? Could someone truly cultivate such an innate domain? Someone, broad in knowledge, couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice, "Master, are you all right?" Lu Qing was far enough away from the elder doctor and was not affected by the sword chi. Seeing the master able to unleash such an astonishing storm of sword chi, he relaxed and asked. Everyone turned to look and were startled again. They saw that at this moment, Lu Qing was holding the neck of a young monk. It was during the elder monk's evasion of his master's sword chi that Lu Qing seized the opportunity to capture one of the young monks. Hui Xan! The elder monks exclaimed upon seeing this scene. How dare you, rascal! Let Hui Xan go! The lead elder monk, seeing the young monk in Lu Qing's grasp being choked until red in the face and struggling to breathe, was furious and intended to strike at Lu Qing. But the next moment, a sharp sword chi swept past him, forcing him to halt. He turned around to see that the elder doctor had already opened his eyes, clear and sharp. Esteemed monks, this is quite unbefitting. You came in the guise of discussing medical skill but resorted to underhandedly attacking with an exotic treasure to seize my divine soul. How do you intend to explain this to me? The elder doctor still felt a shiver when he remembered what had happened before. He was immobilized by that strange golden bowl, almost unable to perceive anything from the outside world. He could only sense himself in a golden space, with Buddhist chants all around, hypnotizing his mind, wanting him to convert. Fortunately, his heart and spirit were strong, and his will firm, otherwise he might well have changed into another person by now. Thinking of this, the elder doctor's gaze became cold. Even with his mild temper, he couldn't help feeling outraged. As a doctor, he knew too well how terrifying it was for a person to lose their personality. He had treated patients with hysterics before, and such patients were indeed pitiful and miserable. Considering that he himself had nearly become such a person, how could the elder doctor not be angry? Master, why bother talking to them? Just slaughter them all. Lu Qing's eyes swept across the 7 elder monks, silently reading the floating information snippets. But the killing intent in his heart only grew stronger. For he discovered that these bald monks had malice that seemed to exceed even his imagination. Master, save me. At that moment, the young monk still in Lu Qing's grip suddenly spoke with difficulty. Amitabha, benefactor, please be compassionate and let Hui Exine go, said the lead elder monk with his hands pressed together. Child, put down the person in your hands immediately, or I, the old monk, will transcend you right now. Another elder monk shouted angrily. Really? Lu Qing chuckled lightly, and his hand twisted slightly. With a crisp crack, the young monk's neck was twisted into a strange angle in Lu Qing's hand, convulsing as his life force slowly ebbed away. Chapter 406. The blade breaks through Gang Qi. After Lu Qing crushed the life out of the young monk in his hand, there was dead silence all around. Everyone widened their eyes, staring at the youth in front of them, unable to believe he had the audacity to kill a disciple of Suspended Mountain in public. You have to realize this is Suspended Mountain, one of the 4 great secret places, brimming with strong practitioners, shrouded in mystery. No one knew just how profound its foundation was. A superpower through and through. Even those major sects in Central State would maintain sufficient awe in the face of such an imposing entity. In the past, even if a servant emerged from the secret land, those major sects in Central State would treat them with courtesy, not daring to show the slightest neglect. Therefore, seeing Lu Qing decisively crush a disciple of Suspended Mountain to death, the powerful onlookers were not only shocked, but also felt a sense of absurdity rising in their hearts. How could this youth dare? Especially Lin Jirue. His heart trembled. It's over. Even the great monks from Suspended Mountain, feeling the life force of the young monk in Lu Qing's hand gradually fading, were momentarily stunned. Immediately after, a mournful cry erupted. Ah!
Huixin.
You little beast dare! It was Hui Exine's master, seeing his own direct disciple's neck twisted and broken by Lu Qing right in front of his eyes almost bursting with fury. His figure moved, and dressed in a red kasaya, he charged at Lu Qing like a red cloud. Good timing. Lu Qing tossed the person in his hand to the ground, flicked his wrist, and had already drawn the war saber by his side. The next moment, a violent killing intent filled the surroundings, shaking the hearts and spirits. A bright sword light slashed at the great monk. Little beast, die! The great monk, facing Lu Qing's menacing saber, had a face full of evil qi, with golden light emerging from his hand. He did not dodge or evade, and reached out directly for the blade. He actually intended to seize Lu Qing's war saber with his flesh and blood body. Noticing this, Lu Qing was slightly startled in his heart. With those sneaky monks' ways, they didn't seem to be so reckless. Could there be some trick? As his thoughts whirled, he immediately changed his move. The blade that was originally slashing towards the great monk's palm drew a mysterious arc, bypassing the hand, and aimed straight at his face. With this change in momentum, the move was seamlessly executed, demonstrating the profoundness of Lu Qing's saber technique. The great monk had not anticipated that Lu Qing could still display such exquisite changes in such a brief moment, and was caught somewhat off guard. Failing to dodge in time, he managed only to tilt his head, avoiding the face, but his shoulder couldn't evade and was cut real by Lu Qing's saber. Ding! However, what surprised Lu Qing was that his saber did not severely injure the great monk. The blade striking on his face felt as though chopping on a bronze statue, emitting the sound of metal. Is this the Vajra body indicated in the note? Lu Qing's thoughts shifted, recalling the information he had just probed with his superpower. But merely relying on a protective Gang Qi to completely block my war saber? Lu Qing's gaze turned icy. The war saber hacking the great monk's shoulder vibrated innumerable times in an instant. His wrist shook with a shock and drag. Whoosh! One saw the great monk's shoulder instantly splattered with fresh blood. A deep wound visible to the bone ran from the shoulder to the chest, nearly splitting him in half. Ah! What seems complex was in fact all happened in the blink of an eye. The great monk had not expected that Lu Qing's saber technique could be so fierce. Even his Vajra body, which he prided himself on, couldn't withstand it. Severely wounded by the saber, he let out a loud scream and hastily retreated. Think you can escape? After Lu Qing's successful strike, he immediately pursued his advantage. Stomping his foot on the ground, his figure burst forth, his sword light flaring up as he slashed once again at the great monk. Seeing this, the great monk no longer dared to be careless. With a light flick of his wrist, a brass short staff slid from his sleeve to block the blade. Boom! The great monk was reacting hastily and couldn't use his full strength. When the saber and staff collided, the bulky figure, already retreating, was sent flying backward by Lu Qing's slash. It wasn't until another great monk stepped in to support him that he managed to steady himself. Seeing the great monk had fallen back to his ranks, Lu Qing didn't continue to chase. He stood proudly in place. Suspended Mountain is nothing more than this. The scene was met with dead silence once again. Everyone's eyes widened in shock at the spectacle before them. Am I seeing this right? Master Xian Nu was wounded by that youth with a single slash. Master Xian Nu's Vajra body has long reached the Great Achievement realm, and once he activates his protective Gang Qi, even divine weapons can hardly scratch him, yet it was broken by a single slash. Who exactly is this youth? And that's not all. Have you noticed that up until now, this youth has only unleashed the power from his Qi blood strength. He hasn't used any innate true Qi at all. Without innate true Qi, could it be that he is still a postnatal realm martial artist? Everyone was dumbfounded by the sight of Lu Qing grievously injuring Master Xian Nu in one strike. Especially those from the other three great secret places who knew Master Xian Nu's background. They were absolutely astounded. One must know Master Xian Nu was a powerfully strong martial artist who had achieved the great success of the innate realm. Moreover, he had cultivated a very formidable secret technique, the Vajra body. It was said to be an extremely fearsome protective Gang Qi. Once mastered, with its activation, the body would be impervious to swords and fire alike. Even martial artists of the same level found it difficult to breach. It was a defense technique from Suspended Mountain, famous for many years. Unexpectedly, having not shown itself for many years, it had been broken by a single strike from a young man upon its reappearance. Most importantly, the youth who had acted seemed to be merely a postnatal realm martial artist. With a postnatal physique, defeating a master from the great secret land who had achieved the great success of the innate realm with a single stroke? In an instant, the look in everyone's eyes towards Lu Qing was one of shock and disbelief. It was truly unfathomable how he had managed to do it. Has Lu Qing's strength really reached such a level? Lin Jirue, too, watched the scene with a blank expression. He had speculated that Lu Qing's strength must be vastly improved compared to 2 years ago, that he would be much stronger. But he had never imagined that he would be this powerful. Whether it was the previous breaking formation technique or the current blow that wounded the great monk of the innate realm's great achievement from Suspended Mountain, his strength was terrifyingly beyond his imagination. Hearing the exclamations around him, Lu Qing's face remained calm. The reason he could break the great monk's Vajra body was actually quite straightforward. Firstly, the divine weapon war saber in his hand had been forged from outer heaven fallen iron, exceptionally sharp and far surpassing ordinary divine weapons. Secondly, it was the saber technique he used. Shock and dragging blade force. In a split second, he vibrated the saber edge at an extremely high frequency, piercing with precision. This was a move he had created on his own, specifically aimed at overcoming techniques like protective Gang Qi. It required extraordinary bodily control and a high realm in saber technique to execute. This was the first time he had used it against an opponent, and he hadn't expected such remarkable results, nearly slaying a master of the great success of the innate realm under his blade. Suspended Mountain's old monks? Anyone else want to come up and seek death? Lu Qing pointed his long saber forward, speaking indifferently. Chapter 407, Turning Black into White, Terrifying Killing Intent. Looking at Lu Qing pointing his blade at the crowd from Suspended Mountain, he had a calm expression. This time, no one dared to underestimate his words. There was no helping it. Anyone who could severely injure a disciple from the 4 great secret places who had attained great success in the innate realm with a single strike, no one dared to look down upon him again. Arrogant. On the other side, Xian Nu had started to heal his injuries while sitting cross-legged, protected by other monks. But being pointed at so arrogantly by a young man, how could the always high and mighty monks of Suspended Mountain endure it? Immediately, someone wanted to step forward to show Lu Qing the consequences of his arrogance. Xuanxin, stop. However, at this moment, the leading monk called out lightly, stopping the monk named Xianming from moving forward. He then took a step forward, brought his hands together in prayer, and addressed Lu Qing. This benefactor misunderstands us. We, along with your master, were merely exchanging insights and not harboring any ill intentions. But you, benefactor, as soon as you arrived, not only interrupted the contest but also attacked, harming the life of a Suspended Mountain disciple. I believe you owe us an explanation from Suspended Mountain. Upon hearing these words, not only did the elder doctor show anger on his face, but even the many watching martial arts experts were also taken aback. It seemed everyone was stunned by the words of the Suspended Mountain monk. Only those familiar with the consistent nature of Suspended Mountain from the other 3 great secret places showed an unsurprised expression. Some even whispered disdainfully, "This Xianming old monk is still as shamelessly brazen as ever." Misunderstanding. Lu Qing, however, did not seem surprised by the words that Xianming had spoken, and he coldly said, "The Vajra subdues demon formation, a secret formation of Suspended Mountain, capable of using Buddhist chants to forcefully change one's mind and turn them into puppets. You tried to use such an evil formation to turn my master into a puppet of Suspended Mountain. And now you tell me it's a misunderstanding? Is Suspended Mountain really such a den of shameless evil demons among the so-called 4 great secret places?" Lu Qing knew his master was not articulate, so he directly pointed out the malicious nature of the formation previously used by Suspended Mountain. Indeed, as soon as these words were spoken, apart from the people from the 3 great secret places, the other martial arts experts were greatly shocked. Although they had been spectating just for fun, they were not aware that the formation deployed by Suspended Mountain possessed such terrifying power, forcibly changing people's minds, losing their selves, becoming puppets. The gathered experts only needed to imagine that scene to feel chills. All the experts present had reached their current realms by fighting and tempering themselves along the way. It can be said that each of them had a strong, independent character and a strong mind. Even death wouldn't overly frighten them. But losing their selves and becoming puppets controlled by others, for them that was truly worse than death. Suddenly, everyone's gaze towards the people of Suspended Mountain became filled with immense wariness. The monks of Suspended Mountain did not expect that Lu Qing would have such a deep understanding of their secret Vajra subdues demon formation. At first startled, they soon reacted. Amitabha. The Xianming monk chanted the Buddhist mantra again. The benefactor really misunderstands. Indeed, what we deployed was the Vajra subdues demon formation. But this formation is not as the benefactor describes, transforming people into puppets with an evil formation. Rather, the Vajra subdues demon formation is our Suspended Mountains formation for subduing demons and controlling inner demons. We saw this elderly gentleman just come out from the holy pool with some insights and still carrying the merit light that only our Buddhist cultivation can achieve, so we wished to discuss doctrines with him. However, during the discussion, we discovered that this elderly gentleman seemed to have spawned a heart demon after his insights from the holy pool. Thus, we decided to employ the Vajra subdues demon formation to help this elderly gentleman subdue his heart demon. We truly did not expect to be misunderstood by you, benefactor. It is indeed our fault. Xianming monk's words were earnest and seemed sincere. This caused the surrounding martial arts experts to be once again stunned and hesitated, unable to judge who between him and Lu Qing was telling the truth. Seeing Xianming handle things so seamlessly even at this point, Lu Qing also somewhat admired him. When it comes to shamelessness, these monks of Suspended Mountain truly ranked first under heaven. If it weren't for his superpower, he would have clearly seen the intentions of these monks at the very first moment. He might even have been moved by their words, questioning whether he had really misunderstood. Old monk, true to your Buddhist cultivation, this skill of reversing black and white shamelessly is unparalleled. Perhaps even the other 3 great secret places combined are no match for you 1/10. However, even if you can speak eloquently, turning black to white and death to life, what of it? The young monk has already been slain by me. What can you do to me? Mercy be upon us, this should merely be a misunderstanding. But as soon as you arrived, you indiscriminately killed, harming the life of a Suspended Mountain disciple. It seems you and this elder are alike, harboring evil chi and unknowingly cultivating a heart demon. The old monk has a proposition. If the 2 benefactors don't mind, why not follow us back to Suspended Mountain? With the abilities of Suspended Mountain, we can surely exorcise your heart demons and restore your sanity. Facing Lu Qing's provocation, Xianming showed no hint of anger on his face. Instead, he was utterly sincere. His demeanor really seemed as if he was considering the best for Lu Qing and the elder doctor. Lu Qing finally understood. These Suspended Mountain monks truly aimed to beautify their words in any scenario, never willing to suffer any logical defeat. He shook his head, no longer wanting to waste words with these people. He turned to look at the elder doctor who had been recuperating. Master, how do you feel now? I am unharmed now, the elder doctor said. He had been resisting the psychic attacks of the Vajra subduing demon formation, causing enormous drain on his divine soul power. Having escaped the entrapment, he secretly consumed 2 drops of earth vein spiritual liquid and after such a long rest, had finally recovered substantially. Lu Qing nodded. In that case, let's go. The elder doctor did not hesitate, stood up, and walked beside Lu Qing. Seeing this, everyone finally realized that Lu Qing's actions, whether it was the snapping of Hui Xian, provoking Shen Nu to act, or debating with the people from Suspended Mountain, all of it was just to buy time for his master to recuperate. This young man, what a deep schemer! Other experts from the 3 great secret places were instantly astonished. They had thought that Lu Qing debating with the monks of Suspended Mountain was a self-inflicted hardship. These monks were famously eloquent. They could argue black as white and the unreasonable as reasonable. Almost no one could gain verbal advantage over them. Unexpectedly, while Lu Qing appeared to be vehemently denouncing the actions of Suspended Mountain, he was actually buying time for his master. Not good. The monks from Suspended Mountain finally realized they had been played by Lu Qing. The elder doctor had been suppressed by their formations for a long time and had exhausted his strength with a powerful display of sword energy domain. But they, disrupted by Lu Qing, had failed to notice this, allowing the elder doctor to regain much of his strength. Master, let's go. While Lu Qing truly wished to slaughter all the opposing monks, it was clearly not possible at the moment. Not to mention that the abilities of those several senior monks were not weak, each possessing the strength of great success in the innate realm. Moreover, since they were from one of the 4 great secret places, Suspended Mountain, they surely had their own reliance. Unless he truly disregarded all consequences and went all out, it was still dubious whether they could win or not. Besides, with so many experts around, once a fight broke out, who knew if someone would want to reap the benefits of the fisherman? Hold on. Seeing that Lu Qing and the elder were really about to leave, Xianming couldn't maintain his chanting anymore and urgently shouted out. What now, old monk? You want to stop us? Lu Qing. Seeing this, his gaze sharpened, his hand on his waist. An inexplicable aura began to rise from his form. At the same time, A sudden tremor shook the spirits of all the experts present. Suddenly, they felt an extremely terrifying crisis looming, causing a tingling numbness on their scalps in an instant. The monks from Suspended Mountain, led by Xian Ming, changed their expression dramatically and hesitated in their steps. Chapter 408. Fear and Persecution. Lu Qing's hand rested on his waist as he eyed the monks from Suspended Mountain ahead, speaking indifferently. With that gesture, everyone present felt an immensely terrifying killing intent enveloping the area. It made them involuntarily shiver, a chill running up their spines and striking right at the crown of their heads. As for the monks standing opposite Lu Qing from Suspended Mountain, it goes without saying. They had an intuition that if they took one more step forward, something unimaginable might truly happen. For a moment, everyone looked at Lu Qing with uncertainty. Some couldn't imagine what sort of backing this young man had to make so many powerful figures feel a deadly threat. Even the Xianming monk dared not provoke Lu Qing further with his words, for fear of truly inciting him to recklessness and a fight to the death. It seems that the so-called great fearlessness of the Buddhists is nothing much. Lu Qing watched the wary expressions of the people from Suspended Mountain, chuckled lightly, and turned to leave. The elder doctor followed behind him. Although both were walking away with their backs to them, the monks from Suspended Mountain dared not make any rash moves. They could still feel the terrible killing intent emanating from Lu Qing, lingering all around them. Should they dare to make a move, they would surely face a devastating blow. Only when the two figures had disappeared did the pervasive killing intent around slowly fade. All the powerful individuals finally breathed a sigh of relief. Many exchanged looks, still feeling the aftershock. There was no help for it, as the killing intent emitted by Lu Qing had been too terrifying. That kind of deathly chill rising from the depths of their hearts was something many strong figures had never felt before. Once the powerful individuals had calmed down, someone couldn't help but ask, who exactly is this young man, possessing such strength and boldness, and why have we never heard of him before? When did such a devilish genius appear in the world? This question was also what many of the powerful figures present wanted to know. Suddenly, everyone turned to look at the people from Suspended Mountain. In their view, since Suspended Mountain had set up a formation and besieged another's master, they must know the origins of the two disciples. Amitabha. Seeing everyone looking at them, the Xianming monk brought his palms together. He spoke heavily. This old monk is also unaware of the origins of these two individuals. Just now, I only noticed that the elder gentleman was developing a heart demon, hence I thought to use the Vajra subduing demon formation to help him expel it. However, I did not expect it to cause such a misunderstanding with the young benefactor. Now it seems that this misunderstanding cannot be undone, truly a karmic misfortune. However, people from Tianji Building had seen this disciple together with the elder gentleman earlier. Perhaps he knows the origins of the two benefactors. Once again, all eyes landed on Lin Jirue. Apart from those from the four great secret places, many powerful figures recognized Lin Jirue's identity. After all, as the most outstanding disciple of the Tianji Building's younger generation, Lin Jirue was quite famous in Central State. Being watched by so many martial arts experts, some of whom were far above him in cultivation realm, Lin Jirue felt a momentary stiffness, sensing considerable pressure. But he was no ordinary person after all. His thoughts shifted, and an aura quietly circulated within him, dissolving the pressure. He smiled lightly. Indeed, I am aware of their origins, but it is not convenient to disclose them here. If the seniors really wish to understand, why not personally visit Tianji Building and inquire from young Master Lu? Wouldn't that be better? Watching Lin Jirue's unassuming yet firm demeanor, the people from the four great secret places couldn't help but have a flash of admiration in their eyes. It seemed that having been secluded for so long, many talented individuals had indeed emerged in the outside world. Not to mention the young man just now, even this young man before them was a rare talent. Being able to maintain his composure before so many powerful individuals was a testament to his resolve, surpassing many disciples within their own secret lands. Amitabha, the benefactor may not know, but the young man earlier had an overwhelming evil chi and was ready to snatch lives at will. He already had the appearance of falling into the demon path. If left unchecked, he might become a monstrous figure on the evil path and endanger all living beings. Therefore, for the sake of the greater good and to prevent those two benefactors from continuing to descend into the demon path, I implore the benefactor to disclose their origins to the world. It would help the fellow cultivators here to take precautions. One must admit, this speech by Xianming monk is quite something. Not only does he place himself on the high point of the righteous path but also denigrates Lu Qing and the elder doctor as people of the demon path. And under the pretense of prioritizing the welfare of the masses, he attempts to coerce Lin Jirue to explain the origins of Lu Qing and the others. However, just then, a cold laugh suddenly erupted. Xianming bald donkey, stop flattering yourself. Since when could your suspended mountain represent the righteous path of the world? The crowd was shocked. Turning their heads, they realized that the speaker was from the Qingyang Temple faction, also one of the 4 great secret places. The speaker was a middle-aged Taoist, dressed in a Taoist robe. He disdainfully said, "Your suspended mountain is truly shameless as ever. It's clear you covet the merit light within that elder, having used the Vajra demon-subduing formation to try to turn him into a puppet. When your scheme failed, you slander him and his disciple as evil demons. I think that with your scheming bald monks, you are more like the evil demons." His words shook the martial arts experts in attendance. If previously they had been somewhat skeptical of what Lu Qing said, now with Qingyang Temple also saying this, they could not help but doubt Suspended Mountain once again. Everyone looked at Xianming monk, waiting to see his reaction. But there was no sign of anger on Xuanming's face, only a pained expression as he lowered his eyes. "Amitabha Yangming Taoist, I know you have always misunderstood our Suspended Mountain, which is why you are biased against us. But everything the old monk has said is absolutely true. Those two benefactors are being invaded by evil chi and are in danger of entering the demon path. If they are not stopped in time, it will be too late if a great error is truly made in the future." "Very well. It seems that after many years, bald monk Xianming, you have become many times thicker-skinned than when you were younger. It seems that, as the young man said earlier, when it comes to shamelessness, your Suspended Mountain truly ranks first in the world. The other 3 great secret places combined don't come close to you even by 1/10,000th. Yangming Taoist couldn't believe how thick-skinned Xianming could be. For a moment, he couldn't help but laugh out loud, mocking him. However, Xianming did not engage him further and let him mock. Turning his head, he looked at Lin Jirue and said, "I implore the benefactor to tell us the origins of the 2 individuals we discussed earlier. With their astonishing talents and the appearance of nearly entering the demon path, if they are not stopped in time, the world may face a catastrophe." Following Xuanming's words, a mysterious aura emerged from him, full of authority, pressing down on Lin Jirue. The gaze of the powerful experts fell on Lin Jirue once again. They could see that Suspended Mountain was adamant about extracting the information about the master and disciple from Lin Jirue. However, the powerful experts showed no intention of assisting, including the Yangming Taoist from Qingyang Temple, who also remained silent at this time, as they were similarly curious about Lu Qing's origins. Feeling the pressure around him, which was much greater than before, Lin Jirue's heart sank. He was silent for a long while before slowly speaking up, "Great Master, what if I don't speak?" At this moment, concerning the welfare of the world, if the benefactor insists on remaining silent, then I, old monk, have no choice but to break a rule for once and detain the benefactor for a thorough inquiry. Xianming spoke slowly. "It seems I have no choice." Lin Jirue gave a bitter smile. "I implore the benefactor to consider the welfare of the world." "All right, I'll speak." Eventually, Lin Jirue sighed. Chapter 409. Hatred Hard to Eliminate. "Ah Qing, why didn't you let Mr. Jirue leave with us just now? If those monks give him trouble, what should be done?" It was while Lin Jirue was compromising and explaining their origins to Suspended Mountain. On the other side, Elder Doctor was also somewhat puzzled and asked Lu Qing. Master, this time we have offended Suspended Mountain. It's not suitable for Mr. Ji Rue to stay too close to us. It's better for him to stay there than to leave with us. Just now, he secretly sent me a message, telling us to go first and not worry about him, as he has his own way to escape. But Master, you need not worry either. I have also sent a message to Mr. Ji Rue. If those bald monks from Suspended Mountain press him about our origins, he need not hide anything and can tell them the truth. In doing so, those bald monks probably won't make things difficult for him. This time, the grievances between Lu Qing and Suspended Mountain had indeed deepened. Whether it was their attempt to forcibly convert Master or Lu Qing killing a disciple of Suspended Mountain, the enmity between them was already destined to be irreconcilable. Thus, in front of so many people, it was better for Lin Jirue not to stay too close to them. Upon hearing this, Elder Doctor also felt it made sense and spoke no further. By the way, Qing, how did you know I was in trouble on the Holy Mountain? Elder Doctor asked. It was Mr. Ji Rue's master, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master, who told me. When you, Master, were trapped by those bald monks from Suspended Mountain with their array, Mr. Ji Rue used a communication jade token to inform the Tower Master, and that's how I came to know of it. I see. It seems we owe Mr. Ji Rue a great favor this time. Master, how did you come into conflict with those bald monks from Suspended Mountain? This matter also felt strange to me. Those monks, upon seeing me, expressed a desire to discuss Tao with me. I had just emerged from the holy pool, feeling quite enlightened, saw their friendly attitude and profound cultivation, and was quite moved just by a few words they spoke. Thinking that they came from one of the 4 great secret places and were a reputed sect with profound heritage, discussing Tao with them seemed promising. I didn't think much of it and agreed. Who would have thought that, in the midst of our discussion, they suddenly employed the exotic treasure, binding my heart and spirit. If it weren't for you, Qing, arriving in time, I might not have lasted much longer. Recalling the feeling of being bound by that golden bowl, continuously assaulted by the Buddhist chants, Elder Doctor still felt a lingering fear. He had a premonition that, had it not been for Lu Qing breaking that formation in time, he might truly have been changed in mind, turned into someone else. The formation those bald monks from Suspended Mountain used is called the Vajra Subduing Demon Array. In the cultivation era of tens of thousands of years ago, it was used by the Buddhist sects to convert some evil demon outsiders, and it was not to be used lightly. I didn't expect them to dare use it on you, Master. It seems that this so-called Buddhist Holy Land, Suspended Mountain, after tens of thousands of years of changes in their heritage, has also changed its flavor, no longer the righteous sect it once was. Among the traditions of Li Hua sect that Lu Qing had obtained, there were some records about the Buddhist sect. Vajra Subduing Demon Array, capable of altering one's mind. Hence, in the cultivation era tens of thousands of years ago, the Buddhist sects that possessed this array's tradition usually laid down strict prohibitions. Unless it was for those deeply evil-minded individuals from the demon path, this array was not to be deployed lightly. Now that Suspended Mountain dares to publicly perform such an array, wanting to convert Master, either they are sure that external traditions of the immortal Tao are cut off, with no one able to recognize this array, or Suspended Mountain has abolished such prohibitions and has other plans. However, regardless of Suspended Mountain's intentions, this time, their enmity had indeed been firmly established. Lu Qing remembered the information he had obtained from those monks earlier. Knowing those monks' pettiness, this matter would certainly not end well. Next, they would need to remain cautious. Lu Qing touched the Chenkuan Qi bag at his waist. Through continuous nurturing with spiritual energy, the Chenkuan Qi bag had regained much of its potency. Just now, it was by manipulating the heart and spirit within this ancient spiritual artifact that he was able to intimidate everyone. Unfortunately, there were too many people present at the time, not only numerous masters from the major sects of Central State but also people from the other 3 secret lands. In secret, there might even have been those 3 mysterious and unfathomable saint masters who had never shown their faces. Otherwise, Lu Qing really wanted to play this trump card to see whether he could annihilate all the monks from Suspended Mountain. The mentor and disciple then walked down the mountain. This time, the two did not take the path of the heavenly ladder but chose another route to quietly descend the mountain. Elder Dr. Chun, Brother Lu Qing, you're back? As soon as they returned to Tianji Building, they were greeted by the overjoyed Ma Gu and others. Since Lu Qing had left, they had all been extremely worried. After all, Lu Qing was challenging the Holy Mountain, and those making it difficult for Elder Doctor were said to be from the 4 great secret places, so how could they not be worried? Now seeing both of them return safely, everyone finally sighed in relief. Indeed, I had said that I would bring my master back safely, Lu Qing said with a smile. This time it was I, an old man who was negligent, making you all worry. Elder Doctor also said somewhat apologetically. How can we blame you, Elder Doctor? We heard from the Tower Master that it was those monks who intentionally made things difficult for you. Ma Gu and the others immediately comforted Elder Doctor. At that time, Lu Qing went before the Tianji Tower Master, who had been smilingly watching them, and respectfully performed a bow. Thank you, Tower Master, for helping to intimidate the petty men here. There's no need to be polite. As you are guests in my Tianji building, I naturally need to ensure your safety. Tianji Tower Master waved his hand. However, his shock was known only to himself. He had just received a communication from Ji Rui, informing him of Lu Qing's recent actions on the Holy Mountain. Looking at the gentle-faced Lu Qing, the Tianji Tower Master found it hard to imagine. This young man had managed, by his own strength, to intimidate the heroes on the Holy Mountain. Not only did he rescue his own master from the encirclement of Suspended Mountain, but he even managed to kill one of their disciples and retreat in one piece. If the communicator had not been Ji Rui, the Tianji Tower Master would hardly have believed that Lu Qing possessed such power. Unfortunately, even with Tianji Tower Master's skill in calculation, he was still unable to see through Lu Qing's depth. In his eyes, Lu Qing was like a mist. No matter how he calculated in his mind, he was completely unable to discern any information about him. Tower Master, there is something I must explain to you. This time on the Sacred Mountain, we had quite a conflict with the people from Suspended Mountain. We probably can't stay here anymore, so as not to cause trouble for your sect, Lu Qing said. This matter, Ji Rui has already informed me with a communication Jade token just now. But don't worry. Although Suspended Mountain is formidable, they cannot intervene in the affairs of other sects at will. Please feel free to stay. Although Tianji Building is small, it has not fallen to the extent of expelling guests over such trivial matters. Unexpectedly, the Tianji Tower Master did not take this matter too seriously, instead comforting Lu Qing and the others. This surprised Lu Qing. It seemed that the Tianji Tower Master was not too concerned about Suspended Mountain. However, upon hearing the news from Lin Jirui, Lu Qing still hurriedly asked, Senior, is Mr. Ji Rui all right? Did those monks from Suspended Mountain give him a hard time? Ji Rui is fine, he should be back soon, Tianji Tower Master said. However, young Master Lu, there's something I need to tell you. Shortly after the incident, I sensed a very evil presence outside. Chapter 410. Strange Breakthrough. Murderous Intent Appears. Tower Master, you said that after I left, someone was spying from outside? Lu Qing was slightly startled. Indeed, and the aura was extremely malevolent. Just barely sensing it, I felt a shiver of fear. Moreover, that person seems to be extraordinary in strength, as well as very cautious and vigilant. Upon detecting my presence, he immediately left. Recalling the aura he had perceived, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master still felt a trace of palpitations. It was the most malevolent aura he had ever encountered in his life. It seems that my previous hunch was right. Indeed, there is an entity coveting Miss Hu. Lu Qing understood this in his heart. Fortunately, before leaving, he had asked the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master to stay and protect the small courtyard. Otherwise, relying solely on Little Li, they might not have been able to protect so many people. After all, the human heart is treacherous, and Little Li, as a spiritual beast, was still too naive. facing certain cunning enemies lurking in the shadows. Even if it were powerful, it might not necessarily prevail. Thinking this, Lu Qing felt that it was indeed more suitable to stay at the Heavenly Mechanism Tower. So, he no longer refused the Tower Master's invitation to stay and continued to reside in the small courtyard. Not long after, Lin Jirue also returned safely to the Heavenly Mechanism Tower and brought a piece of news for Lu Qing and the others. Young Master Lu, Elder Chun, Suspended Mountain seems to insist that the two of you have fallen into the demon path. Although many powerful figures present at the time did not really believe it, Suspended Mountain is, after all, one of the 4 great secret places. It still holds considerable credibility in the hearts of the major sects. If Suspended Mountain starts to proclaim it to the world, I'm afraid certain forces that wish to ingratiate themselves with Suspended Mountain may take the opportunity to make things difficult for you. Lin Jirue recounted the events after Lu Qing and the others' departure and did not conceal his own part in informing the powerful figures present of part of their origins. However, young Master Lu, please rest assured, I did not reveal the whereabouts of Jili Village, only that we met during my years of travel. Lin Jirue added at the end. Those baldies from Suspended Mountain probably won't believe it, right? Lu Qing asked. Whether they believe it or not isn't important. I've already made an excuse, and whether it's true or false, it's up to them if they have the ability to discern. In the presence of many powerful figures, they can't apply the Diamond Demon subduing formation on me as well. If that were the case, Suspended Mountain might genuinely lose its reputation. Lin Jirue smiled, his tone not free of sarcasm. He once held a sense of yearning for Suspended Mountain, such a mysterious land. But today's experience made him realize that the so-called mysterious land was no different from the forces of the outer sects. They also have their fair share of vile and despicable characters. Even the falsifications and domineering behavior of Suspended Mountain were worse than those of ordinary sects. The shattering of his illusion made Lin Jirue even more disdainful of such forces. While Lu Qing and the others were chatting, atop Holy Mountain, the monks of Suspended Mountain were gathered around the body of Hui Xian, who Lu Qing had killed, looking sorrowful. Elder Xianming, Hui Xian is dead. Shall we just let that little beast go? A young monk shouted angrily. He and Hui Xian were sworn brothers who had grown up together. Earlier, it was they who had leaped out together to block Lu Qing. Seeing Hui Xian killed by Lu Qing in an instant, he felt both shock and fear, along with a hint of relief. The shock came from Lu Qing's strength, the fear from the realization of power, while the relief was that Lu Qing had chosen to capture Hui Xian, not him. Otherwise, he would be the one lying on the ground right now. However, he couldn't let the elders notice this sense of relief, so he preemptively asked the question. This matter certainly cannot end like this, yet that youth is too strange. We need to first investigate his background thoroughly before making any detailed plans. Elder Xianming said with a calm face. Elder Xianming, do you believe that everything that Heavenly Mechanism Tower disciple said is true? Another elder monk asked. Half true, half false probably, and more falsehoods than truths. That young man's words are not trustworthy. Xianming responded indifferently. How could this be? Just a mere Heavenly Mechanism Tower disciple. And he dares to lie to us. Xian Nu immediately became enraged. Originally severely injured by Lu Qing's strike, he had now fully recovered except for a bit of lingering frailty in his breath. This showed the profoundness of Suspended Mountain's cultivation technique. Indeed, Elder Xianming, why didn't you simply capture that Heavenly Mechanism Tower disciple earlier? With our methods, forcing out the backgrounds of the master-disciple pair wouldn't be difficult. Another elder loudly said. Everyone did not doubt Xuanming's words because they knew that Xianming cultivated a divine soul secret technique, which allowed one to easily determine the truth of others' words. We most certainly cannot. Employing the Diamond Demon subduing formation today, trying to subdue and convert that old man, was already a rash move. If we indiscriminately captured a Heavenly Mechanism Tower true disciple, not to mention the Heavenly Mechanism Tower not sitting idle, the people of the other 3 great secret places might also not just stand by. Besides, Heavenly Mechanism Tower and Holy Mountain share a deep connection. It's hard to say whether those 3 Saint Masters might intervene. On hearing this, the other elder monks fell silent. They could disregard the attitudes of the other great secret places since, for a long time, the several secret lands have had an agreement not to interfere with each other's affairs lightly. But those 3 Saint Masters they must respect. Chapter 4:11. Because this was Holy Mountain, on Holy Mountain, the 3 Saint Masters' strength was almost invincible. Even if the masters of their several great secret lands personally came, they wouldn't dare to claim that they could defeat them. However, due to some kind of agreement, the Saint Masters and their secret lands also had some kind of agreement and wouldn't easily take action. But you are also right, said one. The dignity of Suspended Mountain must not be violated. Since that young man killed Hui Xian, he must ultimately give an explanation. Otherwise, if word got out, where would the dignity of Suspended Mountain be? Now that heaven and earth had changed, Suspended Mountain would eventually have to enter the world. They absolutely could not tolerate a single defiant existence. Brother Xianming, what should we do? Let the people from Wujin Building take action. Xianming thought for a moment. We have protected them for so long. It's time for them to accumulate some merit. Wujin Building? A monk gasped in surprise. Brother Xianming, the people of Wujin Building are all lunatics. If they start a massacre in Holy City, the most crucial point was those lunatics were not weak, and their assassination skills were exceptional. Even they, if careless, could possibly be caught off guard. So what? Xianming said indifferently. It would still be the people of Wujin Building who acted. What does it have to do with Suspended Mountain? That night, Lu Qing sat cross-legged on his bed, contemplating the day's events. The tricks of Suspended Mountain had not come as a surprise to him. First, they would vilify their opponents as evil demons, placing themselves on a moral high ground. Then they would justifiably attack their opponents. These so-called righteous sects have always used this tactic. However, Lu Qing, though disdainful of this, also knew that the current situation was indeed disadvantageous for them. The more virtuous the sect appeared, the more sinister their methods. After all, openly visible threats were easier to dodge than hidden dangers. Who knew what means those bald monks from Suspended Mountain would use to deal with them? So, even though unafraid, Lu Qing could still feel the danger of their situation. With the deceitful and hypocritical strong enemy like Suspended Mountain ahead, and a strange, unpredictable existence lurking in the shadows, especially after demonstrating his strength at Holy Mountain during the day, it was difficult to say if there were other forces bearing hostility towards them. Moreover, there was that increasingly intense sensation of fateful opportunity. All this made Lu Qing feel a crisis like never before. The reason I feel danger is because my strength is not yet strong enough. Lu Qing carefully savored the subtle, stimulating sense of danger to his divine soul. Yet his heart and spirit became even clearer. As long as my strength is strong enough, no matter what schemes or tricks, they are all but passing breezes and floating dust, all of which can be swept away. Perhaps it is time for me to make a breakthrough. A sense of enlightenment suddenly arose in Lu Qing's heart. He had always wanted to follow his intuition, suppressing his own cultivation until he obtained the opportunity, and then break through to the innate realm. But now, the strong sense of crisis made Lu Qing realize, in this city and mountain full of powerful beings and profound depths, his strength was still insufficient to control the situation and protect everyone around him. It was still manageable now, but once that opportunity truly appeared, the Holy City and Holy Mountain would undoubtedly become more chaotic than now by more than tenfold. What would happen then was anybody's guess. Well then, not everything in this world can be perfect. Overly pursuing perfection sometimes makes it easier to end up with regrets. If my stubbornness ultimately results in harm to little Yen and my master, what meaning would that so-called perfection hold? Various thoughts arose in Lu Qing's mind, further calming and purifying his heart and spirit. In that moment, he realized his true intentions and what he truly wanted to protect. With this realization just dawning, Lu Qing, blessed by fortune, no longer suppressed his cultivation. With his mind's command, the qi acupoint within the dantian below his abdomen suddenly opened. At the same time, the heaven and earth primordial chi around him began to fluctuate violently. Fluctuations in the heaven and earth primordial chi. The source is in Ah Ching's room. Is Ah Ching about to step into the innate realm at this time? Just as Lu Qing's chi acupoints had opened and induced the external heaven and earth primordial chi, the elder doctor in the next room instantly perceived it. He was all too familiar with this feeling, the signs of reaching postnatal realm perfection and being about to step into the innate realm. The elder doctor was startled, and the next moment, his figure disappeared from the room. However, by the time he arrived in front of Lu Qing's room, the fluctuations of the heaven and earth primordial chi had suddenly disappeared. "Ah King." The elder doctor was about to send a message when he already heard Lu Qing's voice in his mind. "Master, it's nothing serious, just a bit of an insight I had during cultivation. No need to worry. By the way, the noise just now probably alarmed Mr. Jirue. Please help me deal with it for now." Upon hearing this, the elder doctor immediately realized that Lu Qing must be at a critical juncture in his cultivation, and it was not convenient for him to show up. Just then, he also heard Lin Jirue's voice coming from outside the courtyard. "Elder Chan, I just sensed a trace of primordial chi fluctuation." Inside the room, Lu Qing felt at ease as he heard his master going out to greet Lin Jirue. But immediately after, he was filled with endless doubts. Why can't I step into the innate realm? Lu Qing felt the situation within his own body. His Dantian's chi acupoints had opened, and he had even refined a strand of true chi inside. Yet strangely, he still felt as if he was in the postnatal realm. He had not stepped into the innate realm, nor had there been any shaking of the heaven and earth rules or appearance of the primordial chi white mist to help him condense an innate body, as had happened with his master initially. Equally strange, however, was that he could continuously induce energy into his body, refining the heaven and earth primordial chi for his own use, turning it into his own true chi. But merely inducing energy into the body without condensing an innate body could hardly be considered truly entering the innate realm. What is this, a postnatal realm that can cultivate true chi? Lu Qing was somewhat dumbfounded, really at a loss as to why such a situation would occur. All along, he had felt that stepping into the innate realm was just a matter of intention. Now that he wanted to break through, he found he had made a big mistake, which was rather embarrassing. However, Lu Qing was no ordinary person. Soon, he calmed down and started the cultivation state of his superpower, carefully sensing and deducing his own condition. After a while, with continuous deduction, a sense of enlightenment rose in Lu Qing's heart. So it turns out it's because my accumulation is too profound. Once I truly step into the innate realm, I would be extraordinarily powerful. The current heaven and earth rules have not yet grown to a truly perfect state and cannot accommodate an exceptional innate existence like me. After using his superpower for some deductions, Lu Qing finally understood what was happening. It turned out that he had repeatedly broken limits and strengthened himself, and his accumulation in the postnatal realm was simply too profound. With his current foundation, once he broke through to the innate realm, it would definitely be earth-shattering and extremely powerful. But now, the heaven and earth had just undergone changes, and the spiritual energy had only recently revived. The heaven and earth rules were not yet fully evolved. Imperfect heaven and earth rules lack enough rule power to baptize and bring forth an exceptional innate like Lu Qing. So, he ended up in this awkward initial realm. Clearly, he had induced energy into his body and refined true chi, but his own realm was still in the postnatal realm. What is this? Lu Qing was somewhat amused and frustrated, never expecting such a thing to happen. The only consolation was that although he had not officially entered the innate realm, after refining the true chi, his strength had increased considerably. At least, possessing true chi and with the inheritance in his mind, the techniques he could utilize had also become much richer. I wonder when the heaven and earth rules will evolve perfectly. Lu Qing thought quietly to himself. Just then, his expression suddenly changed, because he sensed several stealthy presences quietly infiltrating Tianji Building, heading towards their courtyard. Chapter 412, Effortless Slaying Infinite Walker. The aura is strange and harbors a killing intent. Which power is intending to deal with us? Lu Qing sensed the several hidden auras charging towards their small courtyard and silently pondered. Immediately, he conveyed a message to his master outside. Master, there are several people coming over, and they seem to have ill intentions. Just after transmitting the message to his master, Lu Qing felt a weight on his shoulder and turned to see Little Li looking alertly ahead with a cautious face. Little Li, you felt it too? Yes. Little Li sensed that there are 4 very strong individuals heading this way. Little Li's youthful voice echoed in Lu Qing's mind. There's no need to worry. You stay here to protect little Yen. I'll go and take a look. Lu Qing soothed Little Li's slightly bristled fur and spoke gently. When Lu Qing left the room, he saw his master and Lin Jirue standing solemnly in the middle of the courtyard. Young Master Lu, Elder Chun just mentioned. Lin Jirue was about to ask, but when he saw the look in Lu Qing's eyes, he immediately changed the subject. You've encountered some problems with your cultivation, haven't you? That's right. During the battle with that bald donkey from Suspended Mountain today, I was injured by the backlash from his Vajra body, and my inner organs suffered some damage. However, it's not a big issue. I've taken an elixir, and after a night of regulating my breath, I should be fine by tomorrow. Lu Qing coughed twice, his face pale and his breath somewhat weak as he answered. You better recover quickly, young Master Lu. Fortunately, you disguised it well during the day, so that people from Suspended Mountain didn't notice anything amiss, Lin Jirue said with relief. His words had just fallen when suddenly, 4 dark figures wielding short swords burst out of hiding, 2 of them lunging directly towards Lu Qing, and the other 2 towards the elder doctor. The speed of the 4 figures was incredibly fast. Even Lin Jirue, who had been forewarned by the elder doctor, was still greatly shocked. Judging by the aura emitted by the assailants, each of the 4 figures was much stronger than him, with at least the cultivation of innate minor achievement or higher. More importantly, before these 4 figures made their move, he hadn't detected their presence at all. Even the exotic treasure of his sect had not issued a single warning. This was an occurrence that had never happened since he had refined the exotic treasure. Be careful! Lin Jirue couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Then, in the next moment, he witnessed an even more shocking scene. Faced with the attack of 2 dark figures, Lu Qing first showed a look of panic. But when the 2 figures actually reached him, his expression suddenly turned serious. A long knife, unbeknownst to him had already appeared in his hand. The sword light illuminated, and the terrifying killing intent was like a storm, rushing toward the 2 figures. Not good. Lu Qing's divine soul power was extremely powerful. The killing intent he conjured was also exceptionally terrifying. Those 2 dark figures, despite being battle-hardened and having a firm heart and spirit, still couldn't help but pause in the face of such a fearsome surge of killing intent. And it was during this pause, the lightning-like sword light from Lu Qing had already reached their heads. Fortunately, the 2 figures were indeed capable. Even though their hearts and spirits were affected, their thoroughly honed martial arts instincts, which no longer required heart and spirit to operate, allowed them at the last moment to raise their short swords to block the sword light. Boom! Boom! The short swords in the hands of the 2 dark figures were clearly not ordinary but divine weapons. Under Lu Qing's slashes, they were not immediately broken. However, although they blocked the edge of the blade, in the hurried moment, the 2 figures couldn't completely withstand Lu Qing's monstrous strength. Merely one collision was enough to send the 2 figures flying like rubber balls, struck by Lu Qing, flying back even faster, breaking through the walls of the courtyard and raising a cloud of dust. Thinking of fleeing? Lu Qing's divine soul sensing was incredibly sharp, and he immediately realized that his 2 strikes had not caused significant damage to the 2 figures. On the contrary, they were trying to seize this opportunity to retreat and leave. His gaze hardened, and without any visible movement, he disappeared from the spot and plunged directly into the dust. In the next moment, the sword light illuminated again, and even the dust couldn't hide it. After 2 screams echoed, there was no further sound. When the dust settled, Lin Jirue saw that outside the broken walls, the 2 dark figures were lying on the ground, decapitated, deader than dead. Looking back at the courtyard, at the feet of the elder doctor, there were also two figures lying face up. Each had a sword mark at the center of their brows. Clearly, they had been killed by the sword chi from the elder doctor piercing through the acupoints at their foreheads. Brother Lu Qing, what happened? By now, Ma Gu and others had rushed out of their rooms and, seeing the scene in the courtyard as well as the corpses at the elder doctor's feet, were greatly shocked. It's nothing. A few rats wanted to sneak in and assassinate us but have been dealt with by me and Master. Lu Qing explained and then sensed some residual sword chi from the two figures. He couldn't help but admire. Master, after your comprehension of the holy pool, your swordsmanship has become even more powerful. Hearing this, Lin Jirue also nodded in agreement. Just now, he was so preoccupied with watching Lu Qing's battle with the two dark figures that he hadn't noticed how the elder doctor had dealt with the enemy. He recalled the terrifying sword chi domain the elder doctor had displayed on Holy Mountain during the day, knowing that this senior's expertise in the sword Dao must have reached an unfathomable realm. The holy pool is truly mysterious. It can greatly enhance one's insights. When you, Qing, break through to the innate realm in the future, you can also try to comprehend it, the elder doctor said with a smile. Chapter 413. If there is a chance, I indeed need to explore it. Although Lu Qing possessed superpowers, he was still very interested in this miraculous place that could magically enhance one's comprehension. Meanwhile, upon hearing the elder doctor's words, Lin Jirue's heart stirred. According to the elder doctor, didn't that mean Lu Qing was still only in the postnatal realm? During the day at Holy Mountain, had he really used his postnatal realm cultivation to severely injure Master Shen Nu of Suspended Mountain with a single strike? For a moment, Lin Jirue's heart was mysteriously shaken. He found it somewhat unimaginable what kind of cultivation method Lu Qing had pursued. To possess a frightening strength that could rival the great success of the innate realm while still in the postnatal realm. Mr. Jirue, do you know who these people are? Lu Qing used his knife to lift the black masks from the faces of the two corpses in the courtyard, revealing the ordinary faces of middle-aged men. Although he had already secretly used his superpower to investigate these people's identities, he still wanted to hear Lin Jirue's opinion. Lin Jirue looked carefully for a while, then shook his head. Forgive my poor sight. I have never seen these people before, and there is also no record of them in the archives I have reviewed. He felt puzzled as well. Logically speaking, given the extraordinary skills of these individuals, each a martial arts expert above the innate realm, Tianji Building should have had records of them. If the old man is not mistaken, these people should be from Wujin Building. Just then, a voice sounded from outside, and the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master slowly walked in. Master! Lin Jirue hastily greeted him. Tower Master, do you know the origins of these people? Lu Qing wasn't surprised by the arrival of the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. Their earlier battle had been quite noisy, and it would have been odd if a powerhouse like the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master hadn't noticed. I am late. I hope you all will not find it offensive, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master said apologetically. These people's technique of concealment is indeed remarkable. Even I was deceived by them and failed to detect their presence. No worries, they are but a few insignificant characters. There's no need for the Tower Master to act. We can handle it, Lu Qing said with a smile. These people are not insignificant in the least. The Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master formed a sword chi in his hand and made a cut on one of the corpses, ripping open the cloth on the chest and revealing a strange tattoo on the chest. Seeing this tattoo, he exhaled. Indeed, they are people from Wujin Building. I didn't expect that this terrifying organization still exists. Master, what is Wujin Building? I don't seem to have ever heard of this sect, asked Lin Jirue. You naturally haven't heard of it because this sect disappeared hundreds of years ago. I thought it had completely perished and ceased to exist, but it seems they are still hidden in the shadows, sighed the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. This Wujin Building is a terrifying assassin organization that suddenly appeared over 400 years ago. Yet, its rise was incredibly swift, and at its peak, It even once surpassed Seven Killings Tower. It was even stronger than Seven Killings Tower? Lin Jirue was astonished. He knew that Seven Killings Tower was the most powerful sect in the assassin world today, its influence so great that many sects in Central State had to step back. If this so-called Wujin building could suppress even the Seven Killings Tower, how powerful must it have been? Correct, although Seven Killings Tower is an ancient sect with a long heritage, during the rise of Wujin building, even this ancient assassin sect, on the matter of assassinations, couldn't compare to them. Once, these two assassin sects battled over their ranking in the assassin world. Each sent 10 innate realm assassins and 10 postnatal realm assassins to compete in assassination techniques. The result was a complete defeat for Seven Killings Tower. Out of 20 matches, Seven Killings Tower lost 17, with 15 disciples perishing in the contest. After that battle, Seven Killings Tower was severely weakened and had to withdraw from the competition for the leadership of the assassin world. Since then, Wujin Building's influence swelled once more, reaching its peak. Since Wujin Building was so formidable, why haven't I ever heard the name of this sect now? Lin Jirue asked. Because Wujin Building acted excessively, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master stated with a complex expression in his eyes. This sect, during its rise, acted crazily, accepting any commission regardless of the nature, committing many cruel deeds. After defeating Seven Killings Tower and claiming the top position in the assassin world, their power expanded further, yet they did not restrain themselves or assimilate their gains. On the contrary, their actions became even more unrestrained. Their assassination missions grew crazier, willingly accepting commissions no matter how immoral. They would even assassinate infants if necessary. Even disciples from other sects were assassinated in large numbers. Sometimes, to accomplish a mission, they would resort to any means necessary. They even committed such outrageous acts as poisoning an entire city just to assassinate one person. Hearing such acts, everyone felt a chill to the bone. Ma Gu couldn't help but speak up. Has Wujin Building gone mad? With such behavior, how could the other sects tolerate them? That's why they later disappeared, said the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. Wujin Building, with its cruel and ruthless indiscriminate assassinations, has become no different from evil demons, naturally intolerable by other sects. Thus, under the call of Holy Mountain, all the major sects instantly launched a crusade against Wujin Building. Although Wujin Building was powerful, under the Universal Crusade, fighting was as futile as a mantis trying to stop a chariot. After years of purging, Wujin Building was uprooted completely. Even their most secret headquarters were destroyed and all disciples were slaughtered. Even to ensure this sect vanished completely, the major sects later sealed away all information about Wujin Building. They aimed to bury this evil sect in the annals of history. We thought Wujin Building had been completely eradicated. Unexpectedly, some remnants still linger, and it seems they might have grown strong again. The Tower Master's gaze fell on the several corpses, his expression complex, both shocked and filled with suspicion. Master, you said Wujin Building has disappeared for hundreds of years. Then how can you be sure these men are disciples of Wujin Building? Lin Jirue asked. Look at the tattoos on their chests. The Tower Master pointed at the initially slit-open clothes. This tattoo is a unique symbol of Wujin Building. It's said that the tattoo is a secret technique, containing a very potent drug. When the disciples of Wujin Building face dire situations, they can just activate the secret technique and absorb the drug from the tattoo. This allows them to increase their strength by more than tenfold in a short time. However, this secret technique can only be used once, as after its use, the user will definitely collapse and die. Moreover, it takes some time to activate. If you interrupt a disciple of Wujin Building from fully absorbing the tattoo, there's nothing to worry about. When the major sects were crusading against Wujin Building back then, they suffered great losses due to not understanding this secret technique and lost many experts. Everyone's gaze fell on the tattoo at the chest of the corpses. Some found it hard to imagine that this small tattoo could increase a person's strength by more than tenfold. Ma Gu and others felt fortunate. It was lucky that Lu Qing and Elder Doctor had killed these men before they could use the secret technique. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Apart from this tattoo, there's another thing, their method of concealment, continued the Tower Master. Wujin Building has a core inheritance called Infinite Walker, which has a unique way of hiding their presence. Once used, even innate realm experts can hardly detect their traces. Back then, it was precisely because of this inheritance that Wujin Building acted so audaciously. They were convinced that once they wanted to hide, no one could find them. Indeed, this was the case as initially during the Sect's crusade against Wujin Building, they could almost find no trace of them. Later, it took great effort from Seven Killings Tower to develop a technique to counter Infinite Walker, which eventually left them nowhere to hide. However, considering what just happened, Wujin Building has evidently further improved their inheritance. Even I was deceived and didn't realize their presence in time. With that, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master covertly glanced at Lu Qing. Even he had not detected these people from Wujin Building, yet Lu Qing had been able to sense them. How exactly had the young man managed to do this? Lu Qing had not noticed the Tower Master's gaze. He pondered for a moment. Then he suddenly asked, "Tower Master, who do you think sent these assassins to kill us?" Chapter 414, Eradicate Thoroughly. Tower Master Predecessor, who do you think sent these Wujin Building assassins to assassinate us? Lu Qing's words made the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master first pause, then fall silent, not saying anything for a long time. Seeing him like this, Lu Qing smiled and said, "It seems Tower Master Predecessor already has a guess." The Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master still said nothing. "Brother Lu Qing, do you know who sent people to assassinate us?" Ma Gu couldn't help but ask. "It's a very evident question. There aren't many we have offended, and even fewer with whom we have a life-or-death enmity. Think about it, who now is most eager to take our lives?" "Suspended Mountain," Ma Gu said without hesitation. He quickly understood and asserted, "It can't be wrong. This Suspended Mountain claims to be righteous, but in reality, they are hypocritical to the extreme. By daylight, they attempted to forcibly convert old Dr. Chun under the guise of discussing the Tao, which is frankly more nauseating than the evil path sects. Brother Lu Qing, you not only spoiled their plans but also killed their men. These assassins must be the ones they sent." "Exactly," Wei Ziyan also said at this time. "In my opinion, this Wujin Building, the way it managed to survive that purge hundreds of years ago, might very well be because Suspended Mountain secretly intervened." Upon hearing this, everyone else was visibly shaken and involuntarily looked towards the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master to see his response. Not even Lin Jirue was an exception, looking towards his own master. Under the intense gaze of everyone, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master finally heaved a sigh. He said, "Hundreds of years ago, when major sects joined forces to eradicate Wujin Building, there was indeed a strange incident that troubled the experts at the time. That is, when they had annihilated the forces of Wujin Building, and nearly all of the disciples were slaughtered, the sect master of Wujin Building and several supreme elders, after fighting with many experts and sustaining severe injuries, returned to their lair. They then set it on fire, burning down the whole lair, including the remaining disciples who stood guard. That fire, fueled by oil and other accelerants, was fiercely intense. So intense that, although the experts from major sects had surrounded the lair of Wujin Building, they could only wait for the fire to burn out before they could continue to attack. But upon entry, they were met with a horrific scene. Inside the lair of Wujin Building, the ground was littered with half-charred corpses and ashes, impossible to identify who was who. Whether the sect master of Wujin Building and the supreme elders perished in the sea of fire was also unverifiable. This became one of that year's unsolved mysteries. However, over the following hundreds of years, Wujin Building never resurfaced. Thus, everyone unanimously concluded that the sect master and the elders of Wujin Building must have perished in the fire. Wujin Building was thought to have turned to ash in that conflagration, completely disappearing into thin air. Who would have thought that it would reappear tonight? No need to think too hard. It's clear that the so-called sect master and elders of Wujin Building did not die back then, and it must be Suspended Mountain who sheltered them, Ma Gu said with finality. The Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master did not refute. In fact, according to the top-secret scrolls he had reviewed, after the annihilation of Wujin Building, for a long time, major sects did not let down their guard, often dispatching people across the world to investigate, in case any remnants of Wujin Building survived and reignited. Only after several decades, when no trace of Wujin Building's remnants had been found, did major sects confirm that Wujin Building indeed had been decisively eradicated. In reality, given the purge's intensity by the major sects at that time, it was highly unlikely for any remnants of Wujin Building to go undetected. But now, the assassins of Wujin Building have appeared before him, flesh and blood. This only shows that during these hundreds of years, Wujin Building has always been hiding in the shadows, silently lurking. To have escaped the decades of searching by those sects, including assassin sects like Seven Killings Tower, which are experts in stealth and assassination, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master concluded there are only a few places in the mysterious land that could achieve this. However, without concrete evidence, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master could not claim as much. Therefore, the truth was too shocking to utter. You see, the proposal to eliminate Wujin Building years ago was initiated by Holy Mountain, and the decision was finalized by the 4 great secret places. In the end, the remnants of Wujin Building were protected by one of the secret lands. Should major sects come to know of this, it would cause immense shockwaves. After all, during the elimination of Wujin Building back then, major sects suffered significant casualties. Some sects even lost their sect masters on the battlefield. If they knew their sacrifices ended up as a mockery, some of them might go berserk right away. It is a tumultuous period right now. Central State is already in a tense situation. If this news gets out, the recently pacified situation will likely be disrupted once more. Tower Master predecessor need not be troubled. Seeing the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master's concerns, Lu Qing smiled and said, "These are just speculations by Ma Gu and the others, not to be taken as truth. We will investigate the real situation ourselves." Despite what was said, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master could see that Lu Qing and his companions were convinced that Suspended Mountain was behind it. He sighed once more and said, "Young Master Lu, the reemergence of Wujin Building in the world is full of mysteries, and I'm afraid it's not as simple as what we see on the surface." Chapter 4:15. Although Suspended Mountain was greatly suspected, it couldn't be fully confirmed that they were the culprits. I hope you will think thrice before acting, lest you fall for someone else's provocation and be used as a pawn without realizing it. Rest assured, Tower Master, I am not such a reckless person. Lu Qing nodded. That's very good. The Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master nodded. However, with the Wujin Building reappearing in the world after hundreds of years, this matter is no small issue, and I must report to Holy Mountain. Young Master Lu, you all must have been frightened tonight. Please rest well. We will send someone to handle these bodies. Thank you, Senior. Lu Qing did not object but bowed to the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master. As soon as the Tower Master hurried off, some other disciples of Heavenly Mechanism Tower soon came, bowed to Lin Jirue, and began to take away the bodies. Lu Qing and his companions did not stop them, watching as they took the bodies away. Mr. Jirue, what are you thinking about? After the disciples of Heavenly Mechanism Tower had taken away the bodies, Lu Qing saw Lin Jirue as if lost in thought and asked, I'm thinking, if it's confirmed that tonight's incident was the work of Suspended Mountain, young Master Lu, what do you plan to do? What else can I do? They're powerful and we're just small figures. Other than keeping our distance, what else can we do? Lu Qing said indifferently, if you are a small figure, then I'm afraid there are no big figures left in this world. Lin Jirue silently complained in his heart. Which small figure can crush a disciple of Suspended Mountain to death and get away completely? Furthermore, who else could severely injure a disciple close to reaching the great success of the innate realm of Suspended Mountain while still in the postnatal realm? However, Lin Jirue also knew that Lu Qing's words were just to placate him. Knowing Lu Qing as he did, Lin understood that he was not someone who would shrink back when faced with difficulties. Back when he only had the cultivation of the muscle-bone realm, he dared to challenge a martial arts grandmaster. Suspended Mountain, no matter how powerful, would hardly be able to intimidate him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to kill that disciple of Suspended Mountain in front of so many people during the day. Of course, Lin Jirue did not persuade Lu Qing. At their level of cultivation, their personalities were extremely independent, and their wills as strong as steel. Once they decided on something, it was rare for them to change their minds because of a few words from others. By now, the grudge between Suspended Mountain and Lu Qing and his companions was clearly irreconcilable, and it was not something he could dissuade. Therefore, Lin Jirue did not say much more when he bid farewell and left. Not long after Lin Jirue returned to his own courtyard, on another side of Holy City, in a certain house, several figures with strange auras were gathered, staring in silence at some shattered jade tokens before them. After a while, a hoarse voice said, "Their life plates have shattered. They are all dead. How could they fail so quickly? They had just entered not long ago, hadn't they?" Another figure could hardly believe it. For disciples, close to the great success of the innate realm, all dead. Wasn't it said that the targets were just a few of the postnatal realm and one of the great success of the innate realm? Or could it be that that old guy from Heavenly Mechanism Tower made a move? Another figure asked. It doesn't make sense. Even that old man shouldn't have been able to detect Zhu Ming and their movements so quickly. No matter the reason, it's clear that we were probably tricked by the monks from Suspended Mountain, who did not provide full information. The hoarse voice coldly stated. I knew it, those Baldies weren't so kind-hearted. They dared to let us strike, intending for us to go to our deaths. A figure exclaimed indignantly. So what do we do now? Even disciples of the minor achievement of the innate realm have failed. Do we continue the mission? Of course we continue. Are you thinking of defying Suspended Mountain's orders? Upon hearing this, all the figures shuddered. Although they were cursing the monks verbally, they knew all too well just how formidable the true Suspended Mountain was. It was a terrifying power they could not possibly resist. Prepare yourselves. Wait a moment longer, and we will make our move personally. The other party has just experienced an assassination. They will never expect that we will strike again. The hoarse voice said coldly. Really? However, just as his words ended, a voice faintly emerged from outside. Then have you ever considered whether you can survive tonight? Who's there? The figures in the room were seriously startled. They never expected that someone could approach them, master assassins, undetected. The way the newcomer concealed his superpower was terrifying. Boom! Just as those figures inside the room were deeply shaken, the windows and doors of the room suddenly exploded open. Several streaks of cold glint, carrying irresistible power and stirring the air currents, blasted towards them. Dodge! Although the attack came suddenly, the people inside were all skilled fighters. They instantly scattered in all directions. Bang! With a massive sound, the building where those figures were located immediately split apart, the walls directly shattered. Just as one of the figures emerged, the next moment, he saw a dazzling sword light flare up in front of him. How? The figure's eyes suddenly widened, as he hadn't sensed anyone's presence in front of him. However, by the time he saw the sword light, everything was already too late. Before he could finish his next two words, he felt dizzy, and the last sight he beheld was his own headless body. Third brother. Third bro. Third senior brother. The other figures, at this moment, all rushed out of the dust, seeing the scene before them and all crying out in shock. Their hearts felt even cooler. To think third brother had just advanced to the great success of innate realm not long ago, and now he was decapitated with a single strike. Who exactly was the attacker? Could it be a perfect innate realm master who detected their tracks and came to kill them? The figures looked towards the figure standing before third brother's corpse, trying to discern his identity. However, when they clearly saw the person, they were all taken aback. For they saw the person was dressed in black, securely wrapped, with a ghost face mask covering his face, revealing no hint of his real appearance. More importantly, his superpower was ethereal, seemingly blended entirely into the surrounding space. If they hadn't seen him with their own eyes and only relied on sensing with divine soul power, they would never have noticed him standing there. His ability to conceal his superpower was on par with their infinite walker, perhaps even slightly superior. "Who are you, and why do you attack us?" a hoarse voice questioned. However, Lu Qing had no interest in answering his question. Instead, he secretly communicated through divine soul. "Little Li, take action. Make it quick. Let none escape." Indeed, the man in black with a ghost face mask was Lu Qing. After killing those infinite walkers attacking the small courtyard, he had used his superpower to investigate their identities. Not only that, but he had also obtained a crucial piece of information from various notes. That was the infinite walker still had a group of assassins lurking somewhere in Holy City. So as soon as Lin Jirue left, he immediately informed his master and took little Li to the hiding place of the remaining infinite walkers. Having learned from the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master about the typical behavior of the infinite walker assassins, Lu Qing could not allow these unscrupulous beings to live. Hearing Lu Qing's voice, little Li, who had already employed his innate divine ability to hide in another layer of space, lightly responded, then swiftly pounced toward one of the figures across him. Simultaneously, Lu Qing swung his long sword. His form exploded forward, attacking the remaining 3 figures. "Be careful!" Sensing the murderous aura released by Lu Qing, coupled with the formidable prowess he demonstrated by slaying Third Brother with a single strike, the remaining 3 figures of infinite walkers didn't dare to be negligent, taking out their weapons and bracing themselves for battle. However, in the next moment, one of the figure's pupils suddenly dilated. In disbelief, he looked down at his chest. There, unbeknownst when, a hole the size of a bowl had appeared. Inside, his heart had already vanished. Chapter 416, Heaven's Decree, Sorting Out the Gains. How is it possible? The figure incredulously looked at the large hole in his own chest. He hadn't sensed any attack, so why was his heart missing? "Fourth brother, what's wrong?" His companion, noticing something amiss, urgently asked. "He's dead." But by then, Lu Qing's sword light had already arrived. With one strike, he split the assassin, whose heart had been hollowed out by little Li, in half. Fourth brother. The remaining 2 assassins, seeing their companion killed and the bloody hole in his chest, felt tears burst from their eyes. At the same time, a chill ran down their spines. Up to now, they still had no idea who had come, yet 2 of their companions had already perished on the spot. Most crucially, they had all died very cleanly, without even a chance to use a proper defensive move, and were directly slain. How did Fourth Brother's heart disappear when the person before them clearly hadn't come close to them? The surviving 2 assassins felt their hearts tremble all the more as they thought about it. After all, they were both at the great success of the innate realm. Although they had taken shortcuts and used tricky methods to break through initially, depleting their potential, even if their potential was exhausted, they were still genuinely at the great success of the innate realm. Yet they were being slaughtered like cutting vegetables by this mysterious person before them, which was unimaginable for the 2 remaining. Even someone at the perfection of the innate realm couldn't do this. What kind of monster was this person in black before them? While the remaining 2 assassins from Wujin Building were fearfully watching Lu Qing was also somewhat surprised. He had found it strange just now. These assassins, despite all being at the great success of the innate realm, their aura felt somewhat empty, as if there was something superficial about them. The truth had proven that the 2 he had slain did not exhibit the strength one should have at the great success of the innate realm. At most, they were only somewhat stronger than the assassins who had attacked the small courtyard earlier, but only by a limited amount. Not to mention comparing them to his master, even the monk Xiannu whom he had wounded earlier in the day was far stronger. However, although he found it strange, Lu Qing did not slack off. He felt that the remaining 2 opposite him were accumulating a strange force near their chests, and at the same time, their aura was quickly soaring. Planning to use a life-or-death secret technique? Remembering what the heavenly mechanism Tower Master had said, Lu Qing immediately shouted through divine soul transmission, "Little Li!" As soon as his words fell, he saw Little Li's figure emerge from the space in front of those two assassins, its claws reaching for one of their chests. What the hell is that? This time, the two assassins, their minds stretched to the limit, finally noticed Little Li. But it was already too late. The claws of Little Li, having undergone several transformations through bloodline and cultivation in the mind, had become incredibly sharp. Even ordinary divine weapons could easily be destroyed. Though the assassin reacted quickly, and the moment he noticed Little Li, he placed his short sword in front of his chest. Before the unbreakable claws of Little Li, all efforts were in vain. A flash of cold light appeared, and the assassin's divine weapon short sword couldn't even withstand a moment before it was cut by Little Li's claws and plunged into his chest. As his heart was plucked by Little Li, the assassin's body stiffened violently, his eyes showing endless fear, because the next moment, Lu Qing's blade was already before him, decapitating his head with one stroke. Ah! The other assassin, in the midst of activating the secret technique, seeing another companion die right before him, completely broke down. He threw caution to the wind, and even though the secret technique was only half executed, he summoned all his power to rush at Lu Qing, thrusting with his sword. For he feared if he did not make his move, he would never have another chance. However, the last assassin, having only thrust his sword halfway, felt a pain in his chest, and all his movements suddenly halted. He looked down at his chest, and unsurprisingly, there was a large hole. Feeling the life fading from his body, the assassin gave a bitter smile. He knew he was undoubtedly doomed. Without a heart, even the most formidable warriors at the perfection of the innate realm couldn't continue to live. However, before dying, there was one thing he must find out. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to close his eyes in death. The assassin stared intently at Lu Qing's face covered by the ghost face mask. "Who exactly are you? And why do you attack us?" "Wujin building remnants. Everyone deserves death," Lu Qing said in a deep voice. The last assassin's eyes widened. The other party indeed knew their identity and had come specifically for them. His mouth slightly opened, wanting to ask something more. But Lu Qing did not give him the chance anymore. The long blade swept lightly, and the assassin's head flew up, his body struggling for a few moments before crashing down to the ground. Indeed, there's something wrong with their cultivation. After killing the last assassin, Lu Qing activated his superpower and looked toward the corpse. Soon, a few lines of characters emerged from the assassin's body. He quickly read the lines, and his mind instantly understood. These assassins from Wujin Building, although all at the great success of the innate realm, had their cultivation forcibly enhanced by the secret techniques of Wujin Building, at the cost of consuming their potential. They had the realm but a shaky foundation, only slightly stronger than those at the early stage of the innate realm. Compared to those who genuinely reached the great success of the innate realm through diligent cultivation, they were much inferior. Chapter 417. In truth, they could only be considered as pseudo-innate great success. But, taking on Suspended Mountain, you've really got some nerve. Lu Qing gazed at the last note floating up from the corpse, his eyes filled with a cold intent. The note revealed that these assassins were not only dispatched by Suspended Mountain. It even faintly suggested that Suspended Mountain might be hiding even more sinister deeds. Suddenly, Lu Qing's expression changed. "Someone's coming. Little Li, let's go." At once, his presence was completely retracted, and Little Li disappeared instantly. However, before leaving, Lu Qing swiftly collected the weapons of the few assassins. Though he no longer valued ordinary divine weapons, the materials used to craft divine weapons were exceptional in their own right, and perhaps they could be of use to him in the future. No sooner had Lu Qing and Little Li left than a figure exuding a powerful aura appeared on the surrounding wall. Upon seeing the scene below, his pupils constricted. Just then, several other figures with strong auras arrived. Seeing the collapsed house below and the mess, they too were taken aback. Brother Fong, you arrived first. What happened here? Someone immediately asked. I don't know either. I arrived just a few moments before you and saw this scene as soon as I arrived. The first figure to arrive replied. It seems a major battle between experts took place here. One of the figures moved slightly and was already on the ground, beginning to examine the corpses. The others followed suit, jumping down as well. After a thorough inspection, the group looked at the corpses of the assassins, sensing the residual auras, and began to feel alarmed. Because they discovered that these corpses in life were not weaker than they were, at least they were all stronger than innate minor achievement. Yet, how could such powerful martial artists have been killed? They knew, from sensing the disturbance here to arriving, they hadn't wasted much time. Judging by the still warm corpses, these people had just recently died. To kill 4 powerful martial artists above innate minor achievement in such a short span of time, how powerful must the person who made a move be? For a moment, everyone who rushed over started to tremble with fear, looking around them warily. They began to regret coming so rashly. If the one who had attacked was still nearby, wouldn't that put them in danger? Fortunately, after being on alert for a while, upon seeing that nothing unusual happened around them, they finally breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the unknown expert who had killed these 4 had likely already left. Who are these people, and when did several innate realm experts appear in Holy City? Feeling safe, someone became curious about the identities of the deceased. He continued the examination when suddenly, he saw a conspicuous tattoo on the chest of one of the bodies that had been cut in half, and he paused. For some reason, he felt as though he recognized the tattoo. But when he tried to think harder, he couldn't recall. He stared at the tattoo, deep in thought. Finally, a flash of insight crossed his mind. His eyes gradually widened, shock appearing in them. Isn't this? Lu Qing was unaware of what happened after he left. As soon as he detected people rushing over, he immediately left with little Li. As for the people who came after, whether they discovered the identities of those assassins did not concern him. After all, everyone in Wujin Building was a target, and if other forces discovered its existence, it would actually be favorable for him. At least Suspended Mountain would have to think twice before employing these assassins again. After returning to the small courtyard, the elder doctor was sitting in Lu Qing's room. Little Yen was sleeping soundly on the bed. The little one's sleep was as good as ever. Even the commotion caused by the assassins who had come to kill didn't wake her up. Is everything taken care of? The elder doctor asked Lu Qing and little Li upon their return. Yes. Lu Qing nodded. Then I'll head back to my room to rest. The elder doctor didn't inquire what Lu Qing went out to do and returned to his own room. Anyway, he knew that Lu Qing had his reasons for going out. The absolute trust between master and disciple didn't require everything to be laid out clearly. After the master left, Lu Qing sat cross-legged on his bed. A lot had happened tonight and he needed to think it through. First was the sudden appearance of Wujin Building. Lu Qing wasn't overly concerned about Wujin Building. During the battle just now, he had discovered that he and Little Li seemed particularly effective against existences like Wujin Building. After all, as a force of assassins, the experts cultivated by Wujin Building typically followed the path of assassination, relying on their exceptional ability to conceal their presence, suddenly erupting to kill the enemy in an instant. Their real frontal combat capabilities were actually not too outstanding. However, so-called methods of concealing presence were virtually useless in front of Lu Qing's frighteningly powerful divine soul sensing and Little Li's even more unreasonable and peculiar sensing abilities. Not to mention, when it comes to concealment, Lu Qing, who had the divine soul talisman, along with Little Li, who possessed innate divine abilities, their methods of hiding their presence were even more perfect than those of Wujin Building. Thus, the assassins from Wujin Building, in every aspect, were completely overwhelmed when facing Lu Qing and Little Li. Naturally, they couldn't pose a threat to them. Compared to Wujin Building, what truly made Lu Qing wary was actually Suspended Mountain. The fact that Suspended Mountain could command even the long-vanished Wujin Building clearly showed that, as one of the most mysterious and powerful forces in the world, The depths of this strange place were deeper than he had imagined. Who knows what kind of monsters were still hiding in the secret lands of Suspended Mountain. Now that they had formed a deathly rivalry with Suspended Mountain, they would definitely need to be cautious of the other side's sinister methods in the future. Regrettably, Lu Qing did not know the true location of Suspended Mountain. Otherwise, he really wanted to find an opportunity to strike them hard. Aside from Suspended Mountain, another concern was his own cultivation. Tonight's breakthrough was truly unexpected for Lu Qing. He had never anticipated that the breakthrough in the innate realm that he was most confident about would eventually be hindered due to his foundation being too strong. While he had now cultivated true qi and increased his strength, without forming the innate body, the true qi he cultivated lacked a bit of spiritual nature. The essence of life had not undergone transformation. The most evident sign was that, still remaining in the postnatal realm, his lifespan had not increased. He could only live up to 120 years at most. Yet an actual innate realm expert could enjoy as much as 300 years of life. In other words, if he couldn't step into the innate realm, no matter how strong Lu Qing became, able to cut down innate experts with his postnatal body like now, after 120 years, constrained by the heaven and earth rules, once his lifespan was up, he would still succumb to decay of body and soul and ultimately die. The difference between postnatal and innate isn't just a gap in strength. What's most important is the difference in the very nature of life itself between the two. After experiencing tonight's breakthrough, Lu Qing's understanding of the disparity between the postnatal and innate realms deepened. I can sense that the next time the heaven and earth Tao sound rings out, the evolved rules should be strong enough to withstand my breakthrough. Moreover, that time should not be too far away. Lu Qing sat cross-legged on the bed, his aura profound, using his formidable divine soul power to sense the changes between heaven and earth. Although he hadn't formally broken through to the innate realm, after cultivating true qi, nourished by it, his physical body and divine soul power had also been enhanced to some extent. If he had possessed his current strength during the day, then the blow he dealt to that raging bald Shen Nu wouldn't have just resulted in a serious injury. Lu Qing was confident that if the other did not have a stronger ace up his sleeve, he could use a single slash to completely shatter the Vajra body, cutting it in two. Chapter 418. Undercurrent Surge, Defensive Array. The Tao resonates again. While Lu Qing was sorting out his own affairs, in a majestic building in the Holy City, many figures with powerful auras were gathering together. And in their midst, several corpses were neatly laid out, covered with white silk. Sect Leader Chiu, you summoned us in the dead of night. What is the matter? A muscular man, as tall as an arm's length and knee-high, asked in a deep voice. Gentlemen, take a look at these corpses. With a gentle wave of his sleeve, Sect Leader Chiu created a gust of wind, revealing the full view of the corpses by blowing away the white silk covering them. When everyone clearly saw the appearance of the corpses, they were all shaken, because those corpses were not intact. Not only had their heads been severed, but 3 of them also had large holes in their chest. The last corpse was even worse. The entire body was cleaved in 2, incredibly gruesome. However, everyone present was a well-known martial arts expert of Central State, having seen all kinds of sights. Though startled by the gruesome state of the corpses for a moment, they soon regained their composure. Sect Leader Chiu, who are these corpses, and what do they have to do with you calling us here? The tall man continued to ask. Have any of you noticed anything special about these corpses? Sect Leader Chiu asked. Special? These corpses are just horrifically mutilated. What else is there to notice? The crowd continued to scrutinize the corpses. However, they soon realized that these corpses were indeed out of the ordinary. They were all innate realm experts, and their cultivation when alive might not necessarily have been weaker than those seated here. At this point, everyone's expression became grave. The appearance of 4 innate realm expert corpses all at once, and without any recollection of these people, revealed too much information. However, the matter was not over yet. Seeing the somber expressions of the crowd, Sect Leader Chiu pointed at one of the corpses. Gentlemen, take another look. Is there anything special about the tattoo on this corpse? Tattoo. Everyone looked in the direction of the corpse. After seeing the tattoo that sect leader Cho mentioned, some were baffled while others felt a sense of familiarity. Those who felt familiar, after a moment of intense contemplation, suddenly shuddered and their eyes widened in disbelief. This tattoo, could it be? It seems that Senior Yu has recognized the origin of this tattoo, sect leader Chiu said with a faint smile. Indeed, this tattoo is very similar to the one recorded in the Guiyuan sect's archives, but it can't be possible. That sect was long since uprooted and completely eradicated. Wasn't it? Senior Yu said with some disbelief. Clearly, that sect was not entirely wiped out back then. Remnants survived, and after centuries of recuperation, they have once again grown and strengthened. Sect leader Chiu's expression also became serious. Senior Yu, sect leader Chiu, what are you talking about? What does this tattoo have to do with a sect? The tall man, feeling completely lost in their conversation, finally couldn't help but ask. Wujian Building. At this moment, an old man with white hair and a youthful face said in a deep voice, "No mistake. This tattoo is the unique symbol of Wujian Building over 300 years ago." Clearly, he too recognized the origin of the tattoo. As soon as these words were said, many were outright shocked. What, Wujian Building? Elder He, are you serious? I remember now. This tattoo looks exactly like the mark recorded in my sect's archives. But wasn't Wujian Building eradicated hundreds of years ago? Looking at everyone's shocked faces, sect leader Chiu said, "Gentlemen, there is no need to doubt. Brother Fong and I have already checked. The cultivation technique practiced by these people is quite peculiar, and it matches exactly with what is recorded in our sect's confidential archives. So these people must undoubtedly be the remnants of Wujian Building. However, according to the archives, Wujian Building should have been exterminated by the major sects working together hundreds of years ago. Where have they been hiding all these years? And why did they suddenly die here? Who took action to slay them?" Immediately, someone raised a series of questions. Regarding this, Brother Fong and I are also filled with doubts, which is why we invited you all here, sect leader Chiu said. I have a feeling that our ancestors might have been outplayed by someone back then. In the Holy City, people from the major sects were shocked to find that Wujian Building still had survivors. On Holy Mountain, in an exquisite building, several red-robed monks were also gathered together. Brother Shenming, we just received a message from our secret agent. Wujian Building's operation has failed, Shen Nu said. I knew it. With just those wastes, it was bound to fail. An expression of anger appeared on the face of a burly monk. Those wastes boasted extravagantly every day about how skilled their assassination techniques were. Yet they couldn't handle a mere youngster and old man. Initially, Suspended Mountain should not have sheltered such wastes. They were utterly useless. Brother Shenming, now that Wujian Building's operation has failed, other sects will probably soon learn that Wujian Building has not been completely wiped out. What shall we do? Shen Nu asked. Before Shenming could speak, the burly monk continued. So what if they know? Wujian Building's emergence into the world again has nothing to do with us. Chapter 419. And indeed, letting these madmen cause a stir outside might be good. This time you've come out, you've seen for yourselves how peace has reigned for too long. We from the great secret lands have secluded ourselves from the world for so long, and the world has almost forgotten our majesty. Even a mere Tianji Building disciple dares to disrespect Buddha's order and talk back. I think we need to let Wujian Building make some noise and let those outside sects know just how this world got its peace that lasted for hundreds of years. Without us from the great secret lands maintaining order, how could they have enjoyed hundreds of years of tranquil days? Shen Nu didn't speak again, but his face showed agreement. Amitba. At this moment, Shen Ming, who had been silent with a calm expression all this time, finally spoke. Although Shen Yan's words may lack Buddhist compassion, they are not without reason. You all should have felt it too now that you've come out. For hundreds of years, we from Suspended Mountain have lived reclusively. rarely appearing in the world. This has led to the world losing the illumination of Buddha Dharma and the teachings of Buddha's principles. Now, reverence for Buddha has lessened. Without reverence, there is no order. Without order, ambition and unrest easily breed. This is not a boon but a disaster for the people of the world. Therefore, for the sake of all, we from Suspended Mountain also need to make the world recognize again the greatness of Buddha Dharma. Senior brother Xianming truly understands the essence of Buddha's teachings. His words completely convinced Xian Nu and the others. Then, senior brother, what should we do next? All the Wujin building disciples we brought out this time have perished. That brat is still alive and well. For every day he lives, the other secret lands will likely ridicule us for another day. It's just a moment of glory and disgrace. After all these years of your dedicated cultivation in Buddha Dharma, how can you not see through such a minor obstacle? If the youth could survive, it's clear his destiny has not yet run its course, which must be the will of the heavens. Since it's heaven's will, let's just go along with it for now and let him live a little longer. What's so difficult about that? The most important purpose for us coming out this time is to complete the mission assigned by our abbot and seize the opportunity. As long as we can get that opportunity in our hands, our Suspended Mountain will have the chance for great prosperity in the coming millennium. Don't invert your priorities. Forget your mission for a bit of grudge. Xianming spoke with a sense of gravity and depth. But senior brother Xianming, the abbot said that the opportunity is on Holy Mountain, but we've been here for so long and haven't even seen a shadow of it. When will it appear? Don't be impatient. Restrain pride and irritation. Xianming closed his eyes, speaking at a measured pace. I can feel that the opportunity should be emerging from its seclusion. Watching senior brother Xianming enter his meditative state, Xian Nu and the others, despite still having doubts, didn't dare to disturb him any further. In the following days, undercurrents surged in Holy City. The resurgence of Wujin building drew attention again, and it wasn't long before the major sects of Central State became aware of it. Suddenly, the whole of Central State was quietly shaken. Fortunately, this matter was known only to the upper echelons of the major sects and had not caused any turmoil. But for a time, the thoughts of the major sects wavered, and with it, even the atmosphere in Holy City became strange. There was a sense that a storm was brewing. However, all of this had nothing to do with Lu Qing and the others. Since the night when the Wujin building assassins were dealt with by Lu Qing and Little Li, they had not experienced any further attacks. Even the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master, after taking away the bodies of those assassins, didn't show up again, and nobody knew what he was busy with. Therefore, in these days, Lu Qing and his companions leisurely stayed in the small courtyard next to Lin Jirui's. Their days consisted of martial arts training, drinking tea, and making some delicious food, leading a very comfortable life, completely unaffected by the atmosphere of Holy City. Mr. Lu, look! In the courtyard, Lu Qing was sitting on a stone bench, holding a finely carved knife and etching something. Little Yen and Little Li were sitting quietly beside him, waiting. At this moment, Hu Zheji came bouncing over to Lu Qing and twirled around a few times. Oh, has Miss Hu's leg fully recovered? Lu Qing did not stop his handiwork, looked up briefly at Hu Zheji, and smiled. Sister Hu, is your leg healed? Little Yen also brightened up and said, Yes, it's completely better now, and I must thank Mr. Lu as well. If it weren't for the medicine you prescribed, I couldn't have recovered so quickly, Hu Zheji said gratefully. As the saying goes, a bone fracture takes 100 days to heal. Hu Zheji was very aware of how severe her leg injury was initially. To be fully recovered in such a short time, without any lingering issues, and most importantly, not even a scar was left behind. This was entirely due to Lu Qing's superb medical skills, and her heartfelt gratitude was truly beyond words. Although my medicine is effective, it's also because Miss Hu, you have been taking the medicine on time and exercising regularly. That's why you've recovered so quickly. Otherwise, however good the medicine stone might be, if the patient doesn't take care of themselves and doesn't follow doctor's orders, then it would all be in vain, Lu Qing said gently. Hu Zheji's heart warmed, and just as she was about to continue her thanks, she finally noticed the action in Lu Qing's hands. So, her grateful words turned into curiosity. Mr. Lu, what are you busy with? Nothing much. I'm just decorating this pendant a bit. As Lu Qing replied, his engraving knife was already reaching the final touch. With a gentle flick, the fine knife crafted a mysterious rune into the pendant he held in his hands. The next moment, the pendant emitted a hazy white glow, and then as the light retracted, the pendant returned to its original appearance. However, if one were to look closely, they would see that within the smooth, semi-translucent pendant, there seemed to be a mysterious rune twinkling. There, it's done. Little Yen, stretch your head over here. Hearing her brother's words, little Yen obediently stretched her head forward. Lu Qing gently put the pendant on her. Remember, you must always wear this pendant, and you can't take it off by yourself. After adjusting the length of the cord to ensure the little one couldn't take it off by herself, Lu Qing instructed again. Little Yen understands. Little Yen replied in her sweet voice. Then she happily touched the pendant. She felt that the fish stone pendant became even more beautiful after her brother's engraving. Mr. Lu, what was that just now? Having watched the whole process, Hu Ziji was quite astonished. She remembered the scene in Yunlai town when Lu Qing, with his nearly divine skills, crafted the jade bottle. This pendant was a gift I gave little Yen before. Now, I'm just making it a bit more decorative for her, Lu Qing explained. That's right, Sister Hu. This is the first gift brother gave to little Yen. It was made from a fish stone found inside the mouth of a big green fish. Little Yen boasted proudly to Hu Ziji. So that's why it's so beautiful, Hu Ziji said somewhat enviously. Seeing that Hu Ziji did not continue to inquire, Lu Qing smiled a little. His engraving was naturally not just simple decoration. Rather, he had inscribed into the fish stone a basic defensive array. In the future, should little Yen encounter danger, the array within the fish stone would automatically activate and protect her. This way, even if some unexpected event occurred, and both he and little Li couldn't immediately be by little Yan's side, the little one would at least have a last line of defense. Actually, Lu Qing had wanted to do this for a while now. But before, although his divine soul power was strong, inscribing an array into a small pendant was still somewhat beyond his capability. It was only a few nights ago, when he attempted the breakthrough into the innate realm, that he managed to cultivate some true qi, even though he didn't completely succeed. Nourished by the true qi, not only did his physical body and divine soul power grow further, but his control also became much stronger. Only then could he succeed in crafting such a delicate array. After inscribing the defensive array, the pendant had truly become little Yan's protective talisman. Hu Ziji tactfully did not pursue further questions, and naturally, Lu Qing did not divulge everything. However, the success of this array engraving inspired Lu Qing. Perhaps he could engrave more similar items for future needs? Just as Lu Qing was pondering the feasibility of this idea, suddenly his body shook, and he looked up at the sky. At the same time, high above, a tremendous cosmic disturbance suddenly arose, resounding through the heavens and the earth. Chapter 420. The path sound resonates 18 times. Fortune arises. Mr. Lu, what is this? Hu Ziji also heard the heaven and earth Dao sound and turned her head sharply to look at Lu Qing. For she had felt that this vast, boundless fluctuation of heaven and earth was almost identical to what she had felt that night in Yunlai town. The only difference was that this time, the Dao sound seemed even more vast and grandiose than the last. Finally, is it coming? Lu Qing looked up at the sky, listening to the grand heaven and earth Dao sound, letting his divine soul power spread out to finally sense it. In his sensing, the rule power between heaven and earth was undergoing some kind of transformation. Even the true qi within his body began to stir restlessly. However, Lu Qing suppressed this agitation. The heaven and earth rules had only just begun to transform, and it was not yet time for his breakthrough. Ah Qing! The figure of the elder doctor appeared in the courtyard as well, looking solemnly towards the sky. I didn't expect the heaven and earth Tao sound to appear again so soon. This interval is even shorter than the last. Master, have you noticed? This time the heaven and earth Tao sound seems somewhat different from the previous two. Lu Qing asked. The elder doctor nodded. Indeed. I can feel that the heaven and earth rules are evolving rapidly. I fear that after this heaven and earth Tao sound ends, the rules will become fundamentally stable. And there's the holy mountain. Lu Qing turned his head towards the direction of the holy mountain. The chance, the aura of opportunity we have always sensed, after this Tao sound, will probably truly emerge. The elder doctor also looked towards the holy mountain. In his sensing, the aura of opportunity that had always pulled at his heart and spirit in the unseen was becoming gradually stronger with the rise of the heaven and earth Tao sound. While Lu Qing and the elder doctor were discussing, many powerful martial artists outside were also shocked by the sudden appearance of the heaven and earth Tao sound. Inside the holy city, where the strong ones of various sects were originally nervous about the sudden emergence of the Wujin building, on hearing the grand heaven and earth Tao sound, all were surprised and walked out of their houses, looking up into the sky. How has the heaven and earth Tao sound sounded again so soon after the last time? The last time the Tao sound arose, the moon descended. What unusual changes will there be this time? I can feel that the heaven and earth rules seem to have undergone some kind of qualitative change. The powerhouses of various sects, all shocked, gazed into the high heavens. Those with higher cultivation could faintly sense that this time's heaven and earth Tao sound was different from the previous two. In a corner of the holy city, a figure in a black robe also wore a surprised expression. The third heaven and earth Tao sound is here. After this Tao sound, the evolution of the heaven and earth rules will initially stabilize. My demon body can finally begin to be properly condensed. Atop the holy mountain, the people from the 4 great secret places were even more joyfully surprised. Brother Xianming, the Tao sound has sounded again. According to the abbot's instructions before we left, does this mean the opportunity is about to emerge? Xian Nu excitedly asked. Correct, the opportunity will soon emerge. The abbot has long calculated that this opportunity is tied to our suspended mountain, and is even more concerned with the foundation of our sect for the next 10,000 years. You must seize it at all costs. If there is anyone who obstructs, don't be concerned, just eliminate the evils and suppress the demons, Xianming said with a grave tone. All monks felt a chill in their hearts, understanding the sect's determined resolve to obtain this opportunity. On the other side of the holy mountain, the disciples of the Cloudwater secret realm were also wearing serious expressions. Eldest senior brother, before we left, our master said that when the third heaven and earth Tao sound arises and the heaven and earth rules stabilize, the opportunity will emerge. Now that the Tao sound has rung, what should we do? A young female disciple asked. Let's first quietly observe the changes, said the eldest disciple of the Cloudwater secret realm in a somber voice. This time the 4 great secret places have all sent people to come to the holy mountain. Obviously, they have also calculated the emergence of this opportunity. There will inevitably be a struggle when the time comes. But however good the opportunity is, it's not as important as our lives. Master has once instructed me, if we can seize this opportunity, of course that would be best. But if we can't seize it, we shouldn't force it. No opportunity is worth more than life. We must prioritize our safety above all. You all must remember this. Yes, eldest senior brother. The disciples of the Cloudwater secret realm all responded in unison. Even several elders among them nodded solemnly. Clearly, although they were elders, the team still followed the lead of this eldest senior brother. With the reappearance of the heaven and earth Tao sound, the entire holy mountain fell into silence. Although only innate realm powerhouses and certain talented geniuses favored by destiny were able to hear the heaven and earth Tao sound, ordinary martial artists could also feel that invisible dignity of heaven and earth, involuntarily halting whatever they were doing, not daring to make the slightest noise. Thus, amidst the silence, all powerhouses were earnestly listening to the grand heaven and earth Tao sound. Not long after, the 9th heaven and earth Tao sound had been heard. And just when everyone thought it was over, suddenly, another Tao sound appeared. 10 heaven and earth Tao sounds? Many powerhouses were stunned. After all, during the last two occurrences, the heaven and earth Tao sound only sounded 9 times. This time it exceeded 9. Only a few well-informed powerhouses saw a flash of understanding in their eyes. Indeed, everything was as predicted. This third heaven and earth Tao sound was special. Soon after the 10th sound ended, an 11th continued to rise. Seeing that the Tao sound had yet to finish, all powerhouses could only continue to wait patiently. However, to their surprise, this appearance of the heaven and earth Tao sound lasted extraordinarily long. It sounded 18 times before it truly faded away, and for a long time there was no sound. Is it over? Such a thought arose in the minds of all powerhouses. But their hearts were not relaxed. Although the Tao sound had not risen again, the mysterious, inviolable grand dignity of heaven and earth had not disappeared but grew even stronger, causing an increasing pressure in everyone's hearts. As if something in heaven and earth was being nurtured and about to emerge. Suddenly, somewhere within the holy city, a loud shout rang out. "Look over there at the holy mountain." With that shout, everyone involuntarily looked towards the holy mountain. This glance made countless people's eyes widen. They saw that the mist which had curled around the waist of the holy mountain for countless years had dissipated without anyone knowing when, revealing the appearance above the mountain waste for the first time clearly to all the people. And upon that mountain peak, which was unknowably high, in the cloudless high sky, a giant white vortex was slowly rotating, exuding endless majesty. What is that? Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded.